Welcome to Hurrdat Sports Live.
Well, there goes number 32. Cal Raleigh annihilates another one. He has homered in 4 consecutive games for the first time in his big league career.
Snapped in, hits one out in the gap in left center field. It well, Rafaela's back, and that ball is gone. A home run. On the first pitch from Buehler, it's a homer for Neto. It's homer now on 2 pitches in his last 2 at-bats.
Driven to right, Judge his steep retreat. Gone for De La Cruz. Triple single homer, his team leading 18th. He has erupted tonight. It's 5-1 Cincinnati. Swing drive. That one rifled to right center. It's another 2-run homer. Driven to right. Fraley in steep retreat. Leaps up the wall, makes the play. A great glove by Fraley, and he robs Goldschmidt at the fence.
Good morning. Welcome into Hurrdat Sports Live, presented by Centris Federal Credit Union. That's DB and Ravi, Lulla here at Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill. What's up, DB?
How we doing?
Oh, we're doing terrific. How are you?
I don't believe a word of that. I can tell by your delivery, but
we're gonna get through it. We'll be all right.
That's neither here nor there.
We'll be all right.
Sometimes you just
I'm trying to be like Coach Rhule. I'm trying to be adaptable. I'm trying to pivot. We're working on the camera. We're working on the cameras, guys. I understand it's not how it usually looks. We're gonna figure that out.
Yeah, nobody hates this more than I do.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
I mean,
yep.
But it's fine.
We'll figure it out.
Maybe I can do my best Coach Rhule impersonation and Troy Dannon and the likes. Where you know what it's an ever-changing landscape.
Mm-hmm.
The show must go on.
You just got to pivot.
You don't complain. Although
that's fine.
It's a really, really high degree of it's just not a very smart move. Leave it at that. Wow.
No, you think we can get like a bull in here, do like a photo shoot with our laptop cameras?
So that's funny. I don't know what to even do with that.
I don't either.
I don't like. Although
the photos look cool. Like
I was saying this to Jessica last night on Sports Nightly. Nothing he does or thinks of surprises me.
Yeah.
There's this really fine line that I think he's good at, I don't know if good's the word, but he uses it to his advantage.
Okay.
He's very in tune with the perception and what's going on and what's being said without really coming across as having rabbit ears, because a lot of what he does fits his personality anyway. He's got a little snark to him. He's creative. Mm-hmm. He's very confident. And he doesn't really care so much about what people think. Right? He's secure in himself. So you combine all that, and you're able to do and say some things that can maybe be construed as kind of a clapback. Maybe you're just playing the game. Mm-hmm. Maybe it's you're playing up to it. You just don't really know for sure with him what his motives are, because he's got a wide range of Rolodex of emotions, and he can wear them all.
Yeah,
I mean, he has it in him to be petty. He has it in him to love. He has it in him to be pretty funny. Mm-hmm. He has it in him to be emotional.
He'll stand on business.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
Principle is one thing. Is one thing you don't.
That's the word I was looking for. Principled.
Yeah, he is. You don't have to worry about that.
So what's kind of funny is you bring that up.
When Boyce, a couple of my buddies, they first sent me when it hit the internet.
Yeah.
And in my head, I was like, he's capable of anything. Not surprised. And I don't even I'm surprised we didn't get to this yesterday, but I'm not surprised because I typically talk about the things I'm interested in.
Yeah. But Monday was busy. We had a lot going on.
It didn't move my needle either way. So it was a non-starter for me.
Yeah.
And you get these talking heads or whatever nationally and even locally to some degree. Well, he better win, and man, he's doing it. Like, that is so short-sighted and juvenile. Like, there is no ultimatum for having an identity. You do it and you let the chips fall where they may, unless you want to live your whole life scared, right? Like,
what do people say if I don't make it? What are people going to say if I lose? What are going to people say if?
That's for losers.
Yeah, that's how losers think.
It is. Like, I don't even know. He better win. Why? So is that going to curb what he thinks in the meantime is doing best for his best
the
for
right
the program?
thing to do?
That's no way to do life.
I mean, even to a much lesser extent with what we do, you know how uninteresting this show would be if either of us constantly thought, well, oh, what if I'm wrong about this?
Oh, I know.
What if I'm wrong about this take?
Yeah.
What if I'm wrong and Dan Hurley's not a terrible person, right? What if I'm wrong and the SEC is not a Ponzi scheme that's actually good at football? What if I'm wrong and Bo Jackson's not overrated, right? Like, it wouldn't be a fun show. And also, you would get just reading of box scores, basically, is what would happen.
Oh, there's some people that try to function like that.
Yeah, I don't try to listen to those people. Like, it's not. I don't think it's very entertaining.
Yeah, I just don't get the ultimatums for.
Oh, you better win.
Vibing with your team in the meantime. I think.
And honestly, just making the university look cool.
Or, in some cases is this a perception? Let's play it up.
Yeah.
Right? Let's take a picture.
Let's go.
Let's take a picture on tractors.
Bulls running through the
or
weight
let's
room.
Have a sweet John Deere. Like, because here's the thing. They know more than we do.
Mm-hmm.
They know considerably more than we do. They know what recruits think.
I'll say, especially with the vibe of the recruits.
They know what parents think and guardians and people traveling. They know what other schools are saying about them. So why do we care?
And also, you know what? Like, imagine
we have the least amount of knowledge to be trying to, and it's okay to form. You can have your own thoughts or whatever. Like, hey, I like this or I don't like
just
this.
Be open to the idea that you don't have all the facts.
And like, you don't just get to lay down the ultimatum. Like, the world, it doesn't work like that.
Also, what do you think?
Because if they don't win, they're not gonna change.
Also, everybody knows they have to win. Like, what hot take do you think you're dropping? We're like, well, they better win because they brought a bull in the weight room.
It's easy to say that because you pit it against something that you can tangibly go back and get.
Yeah. You're just setting it up to be like, well, I told you when they brought the tractors in that this was blah, blah, blah. And it's like, everybody knows they need to win.
It's
everybody.
It's such low-hanging fruit. It's I don't know. I told myself I was going to be positive today.
I am being positive. A couple recruits in. So apparently the process works again.
For some, yeah.
Are we good now? Got 8 in the class again?
We're okay. We're okay. We got
it's a 4-star DB that chose Nebraska over Ohio State, Penn State, Oklahoma, Clemson. Is that good?
That's pretty good.
Is that group of 4 teams pretty good?
That's pretty good. How about
what did Ohio State do last year?
Odem's last 12 months? Yeah. I was joking, tongue in cheek. Mainly it was just to prove my point because I can be petty. But that he wasn't getting that life without Nebraska in it.
Yeah.
He just wasn't.
I mean, same thing with it, basically.
Weirdly, I was glad to see Broom.
Yeah.
Hey man, what a 12 months for you, man. Started from nothing and now we're here. He's not wrong.
Yeah. Started from the bottom, now we're here.
He's not wrong.
Yeah.
And we just saw the escalation of the stars.
I mean, really not a terribly different situation than CJ Brana.
Oh no, very similar
in terms of Nebraska in early. Now, you didn't get the commit early from Odom, but it played out very similarly in terms of the interest from other teams.
Now, and I will say this, I think, and I said this yesterday, and I said this before the weekend started, I think everybody knows that the continual recruitment of Odem is a must.
Sure.
He will have some suitors that will not go away.
Yeah, Ohio State came on really strong.
Yeah.
This is a guy that everybody wanted.
Yeah.
Like everybody good wanted this guy.
Yeah, and I'm with Lance here. He's got my attention early this morning. I feel like I was talking to him the whole way over here, but he's like, it's so weird that people care about Rhule in the photo. Like, who cares? Like,
it's not for you.
I mean,
it's really not.
But it's always something.
Yeah.
Well, he did this here. Those players are here. They're not doing like. Do you really think they don't understand what's at stake?
Mm-hmm.
Like, how do you want them to live their lives? And we have such strong opinions on what they should do, and it's
Can't live in fear. Can't live in fear.
Why? Oh,
you can't live in fear of what if we don't.
I don't know. There's plenty of sports and other topics to talk about, so I don't really think you need filler. But the hot takes over like appearances in public.
Well, you'd have to watch the hot.
Listen. He was on this show and he was on that show and man, he took this photo and that looked ridiculous with that jersey. And why would he be wearing those? I'm like, oh my God, like, stop.
We're doing too much.
And here's the other thing. People have to have. You can't just sit on your hands all day when you work as hard as they do. Like, you have to have some fun. It's a game. And I get the fiscal aspect of it. But you know what? When we critique and we blast and we put people on social media, everybody gets their comeuppance anyway. So if that's the ride that you're on, man, enjoy it. Enjoy it.
Enjoy the highs. You got to weather the lows.
It's exactly what it is. You take what comes with it. And so it's like, it is. And
here's
I don't understand. Like, don't most people want balance in their life?
And here's the thing for me. Like, I don't even care that.
By the way, did you sleep well last night?
The photos, I slept okay.
We good.
That the photos and the appearances and all that stuff. Maybe some of those are for me. Some of those aren't for me. I get that. Here's the thing that I'll ride with Coach Rhule all the time, because he's been very, very consistent about this, among a lot of things. Like, he's very consistent in general. But one of the things that he's always been very consistent on since the day he got here was advocating for the university and the state of Nebraska. That's what the appearances are. That's what the photo ops are. Like, he is letting you know. Because how often have you heard? I know people think this is a joke. How often have you heard people that are like, oh, we didn't know Nebraska had all this? Not just facilities. I mean, like, the city. We didn't know they had actual cities. We didn't know that Lincoln and Omaha were what they were. We didn't know that you've got a metro population of 1 million 40 minutes down the road from the university, and that you've got a few 100,000 in Lincoln itself. People don't know that. Did you see the video we made at College World Series with the players asking them what the population of Omaha was?
It was ridiculous.
Almost all of them said under 100,000.
So, the funny thing about that is, like, people were – was I on 3? I was on one of the scribes, and it was like, ooh, man, look at the diss on Omaha, because the joke is in-state versus out-of-state. Not in-state versus out-of-state. In metro versus outstate. And it's kind of a running joke. There's a lot of sarcasm. I don't think, crime town, swim town, this whole back and forth with Omaha and the rest of the deal. And, the thing about it was over those videos is, big city slickers, or they think they're this booming metropolitan. It's like people just like go out of their way to poke fun. But clearly it comes from somewhere, right? Right. It used to drive players crazy when they would do those cool opens. When there's only a handful of national games every week, and inevitably you'd get the tractor
shot of the cornfield,
and plowing, and we would have so many guys that weren't from here that would be like, man, it's not even really like this. And the coaching staff and TO would say, hey, it's part of the fabric. Like, you just you got to ride with it. This is part of sustaining the revenue and the state's product. And so there was always this well talked about balance, but it was intentional. Like, this has been going on for forever. Yeah. And fortunately, people that recruit against Nebraska, especially when you get to the Browards, the Dates, the Los Angeles, the DFW area, people use Lincoln against Nebraska all the time. And I think Nebraska's been super calculated in terms of how they tried to combat that with diversity. I talk about, you think I'm playing when I talk about food choices and the ability to eat places and how your food vendors cater to your student athletes. They recruit across the country. They recruit internationally. their flexibility within the programs has to be very, very apparent, right? You have to appeal to people from Sweden to Lincoln to Los Angeles,
Miami
to Liberty City.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So not everything is going to be for everybody, but they have made a concerted effort. Hey, you want country today? Let's do a country theme. Why do you think it's so important for guys like Elijah Judy to get on a mechanical bull and learn to rope? Because if you're going to hang out with Carter Nelson, who's on the offensive side of the ball, and Carter Nelson wants to be able to talk to you about coming back to Ainsworth, you don't want it to be some foreign concept, right? So
yeah.
I'm not saying they're going all old school with Herman Boone, and it's like, sit by another brother, but it is
Julius and Gary.
It's intentional.
Yeah.
Why do they cross recruit? Why do you share coaches? Why do you have to be in other position rooms? Why do you hang out with other guys, right? I mean, just look at who people live with.
Yeah.
It is very, very, very diverse, and it's intentional. I mean, it was kind of Trev's vision, and Dannon is such a always thinking. He's just a thinker, right? And you put it with Coach Rhule and Dr. Elza and that staff, and Coach Cook was really, really cool. Manning being such a lifelong learner, his evolution to cater to multiple kinds of student athletes over the tenure of his career has been nothing short of fantastic.
Do you think like 8 years ago he would have brought in an AJ Ferrari?
No.
Right? That's kind of what you're talking about, right?
It's 100% what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And there are times, like, we'll talk, like, sometimes I'm like, and he'll say yes. I don't know. We should. Sometimes I just want to call him.
Yeah.
Just be like, hey, like, this is out there. I don't want to have rabbit ears, but let's talk about this. Let's talk about why this is important.
Yeah.
Or Coach Rhule or even like Amy Wood, like, it's all over the place. And coaches that don't, you do have to stand on some sort of business, right? You can't be all willy-nilly like these leaves blowing in the wind. But the evolving with what is happening culturally without compromising who you are as the leader, that's the game you have to play, because what are kids trained to see now is authenticity. And if they're not seeing it and they go someplace else, those aren't the people you have to worry about playing against. You don't have to worry about playing with or against them for very long, because it's not going to last.
Yeah, because
they'll be looking for the next new
they can't endure
shiny toy someplace else.
Yeah. No, right. I do think it goes back to that thing we talked about being principled in philosophy.
And if that makes guys and gals upset that I said that, that means I'm probably talking to you.
Like, there's a difference between being principled in philosophy versus being principled in details, right? Yeah. Like, that's how you avoid being wishy-washy but still being adaptable, right? And you brought up Dannon, and I hesitate to say this because of kind of how hard I went on Trev, but like, two things can be true at once. Obviously, Trev did some good things while he was here. I'm not going to pretend like that didn't happen, right? I also think it may have been a little bit of a blessing in disguise for Dannon to come in when he did. Like, I think he's a really, really good fit for this time in Nebraska athletics. And I think his particular personality and skill set are uniquely suited to here. Yeah. And so, and again, I try not to.
I mean, we're just trying to beat the average stay for an AD, right? What is it, 2.7, 3.7 years? It's under 4.
It's rough.
It's under 4.
It's rough.
So, I mean,
but he seems like a guy that can, he kind of gives the aw shucksy, and so it's a little hard at first blush to kind of take him as seriously as you should. But that guy is obviously really bright. And I think the thing that I like about him the most, which is funny because I don't have this in me, is it doesn't seem like he needs the credit.
He couldn't care less.
Like, he'll get things done. He'll do what needs to be done and doesn't need the credit.
And he makes some tough decisions.
Yeah.
But I think he's got a good team. The one thing I like is kind of how I try to balance people that I bounce ideas off of, right? I kind of want a new age thinker Sometimes I kind of want a person that has a good lay of the land. You know, for
You like some diversity of thought?
I do. Like I can't go to. It's a good example. Like I can't go to Kugler for all things media. I'd love to.
Yeah. But he's got some different experiences that probably don't apply to what you're doing.
He's at the top of his profession. He's extremely experienced. Some of the things that we're dealing with now, like he is either didn't have to do or he's past.
Like past the point of having to deal with them. Yeah.
Right? So I just use him as an example in the media business because of all this.
Because you guys are close.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he's given you a lot of advice in the past.
100%.
Yeah. But it's not a thing where you can – he's not the only voice you can hear. Because
like I have to bounce that off. Like let's say Jeff Colhane is not a great example because he's a little in the same boat. But, you know, I got to pick two – okay, I'll give you one. Two totally different personalities. Kugler, Ben McLaughlin.
Oh, yeah. That's a good one. And two very different jobs.
Vastly different.
Same industry.
Personality types.
Yeah.
Same industry.
Different jobs.
You know, another guy. Like sometimes it'll be like a guy like Larry Putney.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Who I like for different reasons because, you know, Larry's just going to tell me. We'll worry about the feelings later.
Yeah.
But I know he means well.
Yeah.
Right? So, like, I think balance. And then it's up to the person that's like collecting the information.
Yeah, the receiver of the information.
Then they can do with it what they will.
Especially if you search out certain things.
What I can't stand is the little cuddle buddy, huddle up group think tank, and then boom, this is how we're rolling. Like that's just not something that I'm really gonna be a part of. And I think with this, it's with Coach Rhule or the image or where Dylan is or isn't or what's Emmett doing or the branding. I think at the end of the day with players and kind of what's out there, you see the reports from Ohio State and NIL and kind of what they're doing with Nike and the branding, and like schools are committing money to research with marketing and branding companies about what young athletes want. You think coaches want to do that?
Probably not.
No, they don't.
Most coaches just want to coach ball.
But you better handicap yourself with the facts, though. Hey, why is this guy so fascinated with Instagram?
Yeah.
Oh, maybe it's this, and this. Okay. Maybe I can help them out with IG, but you better, when I need you from this time to this time to this time and this time, and it's not away. You better deliver.
Yeah.
Right? When we put that stuff out on the iPad and you have a couple hours to turn it back in and get it done, it better be with some sort of proficiency.
Yeah.
Otherwise, those other things go away.
Yeah.
You know, Coach Rhule.
You can have all the liberties you want as long as you get the other stuff done.
I think I can say this. He poked his head in total impromptu in one of the interviews. And he was talking about somehow he got on wanting to do things for student athletes because the media company, Playfly, Andy was like, hey, you know what? We've got to do a really good job of helping our clients and the totality of what you're after. How can we help you? How can we help you?
Yeah.
And the cliffs of that conversation is, you know, Coach Rhule was talking about marketing and branding and collecting NIL and making sure that we support initiatives that way. But he said it's bigger than that now with the media component. And they need to figure out how to capitalize on that like some other schools like Ohio State is doing. Like he's always thinking.
Yeah.
He's always looking to see, okay, where are our competitors? How does it fit with what we do? And at the topical level, it's why are you worried about what Ohio State's doing? Remember, I've said this from day one. Their philosophy and how they carry themselves, regardless of what the record says, is as a big-time program. They don't want to have to go back and play catch. If they all of a sudden accidentally start winning, you don't want to have to.
That's like you see those teams that kind of.
You don't want to have to ramp up and say, "Oh shoot, what's next? What's next?" You want to operate at a certain way. Make sure you have limited the variables. You put yourself in good position. Then you go out and play ball and see what happens in the win-loss column. You don't want to do it the other way.
No. You want to put yourself in a position to be sustainable.
You want to be prepared.
Yeah.
It fits with the recruiting philosophy. It fits with what they're trying to do with revenue. It fits with what they're trying to do with branding. He doesn't dislike talking, but he's not talking to McElroy or Josh Pate or
Jim
Sipple or Rome or McAfee because he doesn't have anything else better to do. It's intentional.
Yeah.
It is extremely intentional.
He's the face of the program.
So it's
as much as Dylan is, maybe more.
And he embraces it. So, but at the end of the day,
you think Dylan would be any of these places if Coach Rhule wasn't okay with it?
And I think they talk about it a fair amount.
Yeah.
And sometimes they go together.
I'll say, which, by the way, you want to, I think I can say this, dirty little secret. You know the interview that we put out of Dylan Raiola at the College World Series?
Yeah.
Coach Rhule was standing 10 feet from him.
Right.
It's not like he doesn't know where he is.
Yeah, he's well aware.
They were there together.
He's well aware.
I don't know if they drove together, but they were there. They were there together. This is not this isn't a thing where
so when
Raiola just running around.
When I see those pictures and stuff,
yeah,
I didn't impromptu, and I didn't just think of it. Now, what we think that has to do with winning and losing, that's up to the individual.
But it doesn't matter because
I just know he ain't worried about that part. He's not talking to you.
He thinks that
it's
important.
That's not for you.
Yeah.
Right.
And honestly,
and how many times do you want to say that in life?
The thing that I want to be.
Do you know how much better off we would be?
Yeah.
If we knew what wasn't for us.
Yeah. It's oh, that's not for me. I can move on.
Right. And just move on.
Just pay it no mind. I'm
not for me.
I'm moving on. You know what I think would be really useful if we could say in life all the time? That I think is something that Coach Rhule and his staff will be able to say is if it doesn't go the way we want to, it's not because we missed anything.
Yeah.
Right? Most of the time.
The leaving no stone unturned thing, I think, is pretty big.
And it matters. Right? What are we talking about? Control what you can control. Do everything you can to prepare yourself to be successful. And how many times over the last, I don't know, let's go all the way back to Callahan. Is there any coach, Callahan, Bo, Riley, Frost, even Solich, you think you could sit here and say, without a shadow of a doubt, it didn't work out here because they didn't miss anything, right? You could point to something on each one of those guys.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes.
Right?
Yes.
No matter how much we like them or don't.
Yes.
You could point to something for each one. And for some people, you can point to multiple things. For some people, it's if they had gotten this one thing right, we feel pretty good about it.
Yeah.
Fewer things went wrong for Solich than it did for Frost, obviously.
And so far, the difference with HCMR is he's not leaving anything to chance.
Yeah.
So and everybody's different, right? You get, I think of the Bill Hipshers of the world, or Noddle. I was talking to Noddle last night. Got a new development plan going up. Shout out to him. Little medical facility going up out in Gretna. And, he gives me this kind of blind squirrel finding a nut reference, and we're talking, and it's, kind of one of his philosophies about pushing the envelope is you never know until you do your due diligence. So it sounds really easy, but what people sometimes will talk themselves into is I'm afraid, or it's too big of this, or I can't really make sense of it in the moment, so I'll table it. And some people just feel like it's a waste of time to worry about things that aren't there yet. They just go with what they see. So everybody's kind of wired differently, but it's like it's like being able to look at, and I admire these people because I'm not really like that, except when it comes to young people. Like young people, I'm always, okay, what's next? How do I envision? Oh, you can try. Don't limit yourself. I'm not so much like that with almost anything else. I can't look at a room and see a wall being removed or a false wall put up or, shelving or moving a laundry room from downstairs to upstairs. Like I can't see those things.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't concern myself with it. It's just like,
Sure.
This is kind of how it is. This is the functionality of it. And so I'm always fascinated by people that can look at the same thing that I'm looking at
And see something different.
Yeah. Like because I admire the vision, right? How does that fit with the sports landscape? Well, I gave you 5 skill guys, including Raiola. I could give you any 5. What intrigues me by that? Well, maybe this guy's not going to be a Z. Maybe he's not going to play X. Maybe he's going to come out of the backfield. Maybe he's going to be an inline tight end. Maybe he's going to be in an H-back,
with Mosey.
Right? Yeah, with Mosey, right? Mm-hmm. Put him in the backfield. Yeah. I'd put him in the backfield, right?
Bring up with Harburg and Lindemeyer, like the tight end room in general a lot.
Yeah.
What are you going to do with those guys?
Let EJ be the final number 4 out of motion, and he's going to get your 4th best defender.
Mm-hmm. Why? That's why you know keep asking me.
Or,
hey, if you roll these guys out there, what alignment are they going to be in?
What are we going to do?
Mm-hmm.
I like stuff like that.
Yeah.
Making the puzzle piece fits, and sometimes you see it with houses.
Mm-hmm.
These people that can turn and burn and flip homes, and I'm like, how'd you see that based on
where we started?
That's one of the things that I like about Coach Rhule, because he's picked everybody's brain.
Mm-hmm.
Past coaches, current coaches, business people, fiscal analysts, former general managers, current general managers, CEOs of shoe companies, restaurants, like people that own supply and demand in food chain, and the difference between volume and margin.
Yeah.
Volume and margin. If you're operating in abundance in bulk, it's about volume.
Mm-hmm.
Volume. I have 55 tables. How many people can I run through?
Yeah.
Volume. If I'm a smaller restaurant and this is what I spend, my plates may be a little more expensive. What is my margin?
Yeah.
It's the exact way he looks at NIL, spending, revenue sharing. Little things like that you just don't think typically people like him do. But a guy that's very good fiscally and is really good with his money. I almost said tight, but I'm not in his pocketbooks like that. I just know he's not running out to buy anything unnecessarily.
Sure.
He's just not. Right? You want leadership like that.
Yeah.
You just do. So if he's spending money wisely and they're bringing in good people, I couldn't care less what kind of photo ops he does.
Yeah.
I felt like he wasn't the first one. My man had, I wanted to kind of help wash his face, but he had these little eye boogers and this little wrinkled sleep shirt from an early morning meeting with a recruit. And I'm just like, you didn't have to come straight from the office. You could have just run home or go down to the locker room. Or my man wanted to be early, but it's just like, I'm cool with that. Like, I know you'll lay it on the line.
Yeah.
So I don't. Those kinds of things don't. If you weren't working, it would be different.
Yeah.
It would be different. But I don't know, man. I just get the sense he knows what he's doing, and clearly, you're getting these guys on campus without them saying yes. And I get it, man. I hear you, but they got to start saying yes. Is he supposed to stop trying? Nah. Like, I don't understand that.
Again, it's
we
what's the
need
alternative?
them to say yes. No bleep. But in the meantime,
hey, I don't know if you know this. We got to start winning games.
He has to keep trying.
Yeah. What's the alternative?
Like the doom and gloom and the negative. Like, well, they're not even saying yes. It's like, hey, man, you still have to do the work.
Yeah.
You still have to do the work.
You have to get them to the point where they have to.
You know how
make
many
a decision.
successful businesses put in bids that not everybody says yes?
All of them. All of them.
You still got to go through the process, man.
Nobody bats 1,000 on
because you have to be ready for the yes.
Yeah.
You have to be ready for the yes, just like you have to be ready for the wins. Do you think he all of a sudden wants to tell, 73% of his roster that, hey, didn't go the way we wanted to, man. We're going to revamp this culture that I talked about. Got to hit the portal. You think he wants to do that?
Mm-hmm.
No. So you're gonna give yourself every opportunity to make sure that the development plan is in place. You've constructed the roster a certain way. It is intentional, and you're putting a premium on needing to win football games.
Mm.
It's a scary proposition for people that are ill prepared. If you're prepared and you're a competitor, you understand it's just part of the deal.
Yeah.
You know you have to win.
Yeah. That's the given.
It's not some, ooh, I'm fearful of it. You embrace needing to win.
Because they want to win more as much as you do.
And don't think they want to be out there with their thumb in their butt doing it for no reason, man. I mean, nobody
trying to
wants to
figure
get
it out
out
on
of
the
the
fly.
rack at 5:30 and go hang and bang just to, not try to go win.
Yeah, to not have it go the way you want it to.
Yeah, you got some skin in the game.
I have one job, it's to win at Nebraska.
Let's take a quick break here. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla. Coming up on the show today, we've got, of course, our regular Tuesday. It's Mike Schaefer at 9 o'clock, Husker 24/7. Before that, though, we're going to talk a little Major League Baseball coming up at 8 with Steve Gardner from the USA Today. A lot going on in baseball. Had all the nice home run clips from Shane this morning to start the show. We will be back here, Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill, in just a minute.
Give me that cheddar, we getting Rico. Big money rolls like burritos. Give me that hot sauce, no pico. Give me that.
Avery Howard here at Dylan Raiola at the College World Series. Dylan, you've been here all week, but you've been supporting a lot of your guys. Today, you're supporting a buddy of yours, Derek Carriel. How cool has it been to watch him out here and now compete for a championship?
It's kind of surreal to see what he's doing. I'm very proud of him, and I hope he gets this win today so we can celebrate together. And it's just crazy. Nebraska's in the middle of the country, and people don't really know about the state or what it's about. So to have him kind of meet up with us here, it's a cool experience.
And you've shared publicly that you've been really proud of your Polynesian culture and how they represented this week. Why is that something you're so proud of?
Yeah, it's just the island's so small, and the guys are just such great people, and that I think it's cool that we get to show that off on a national stage like this. So, I'm very, very excited, very happy for them, and, we look to keep it moving.
For people that haven't been in the College World Series, you've been all week. What makes this event so special?
I think just the fans that come out here from all the different schools, the atmosphere that they kind of create, with the music and everything like that. It makes it an experience that, you should come try for sure and kind of make a fun weekend out of it.
Imagine your first dream home and the feeling of walking inside for the first time. With Centrist Federal Credit Union's First Time Home Buyers program, you are at the doorstep of bringing your vision to life. Welcome home. from your neighborhood mortgage experts, Centris Federal Credit Union. We are where you are.
You're listening to Hurrdat Sports Live.
When I was on my interview to Lincoln, the person who was driving me into Lincoln, I asked him, you're a sports fan? And said, yeah, of course. He was a Chiefs fan. And I asked him, I wanted to do a little recon mission. Are you a Huskers fan? Yeah, I've been a season ticket holder since the mid-90s. And he was telling me all about his experience in going to games at Memorial Stadium. And one of the first things that came out of his mouth was how much he loved listening to the games and listening to Greg and understanding. He never met Greg, but understanding the individual sitting next to Greg as he was calling games, because he made it feel like it was this communal experience. And that's, I realized the outpouring of love that Greg has had in his tenure in 17 years here, but you truly understand the impact that Greg had, but what this role means to a lot of people around this state and to the entire family.
Could I get a thank you?
How is that on my man?
It's fine. It's fine. It's not his fault. Welcome back, Hurrdat Sports Live, presented by Centris Federal Credit Union. Remember, got a little rain going on this morning. Make sure you keep those eyes focused and straight ahead on the road. It can get a little dicey out there. Make sure you're paying attention. Don't get distracted. This message from the NDOT Highway Safety Office. That voice you heard was Kyle Crooks, the new play-by-play voice of Nebraska football. DB, I know you were involved with interviewing some of the candidates. And
elbows deep.
You were able to get down there for that, which I'm glad you were able to be a part of. What I'm hearing a lot of people talk about this, and we don't know anything really as the general public. We don't know anything about Kyle Crooks yet, right? I mean, we know he was in Florida for 8 years. That's about all we know, right?
Yeah.
People still seem to have a lot of opinions about a thing they don't know anything about.
Although I will say his list of references
pretty good
was incredible. It was. And a lot of time, and people are different with using references.
Mm-hmm.
Some people use them, some people don't. You're obviously going to call people that say good things about you, probably. But fudge, just like, I mean, if you're going to pick up the phone and call Iron Eagle and say, hey.
It's a pretty good one to have.
It's just is.
Yeah.
Right. But anyway, I just was thinking about the voice and listening to the tapes a couple months ago versus the guys that they flew in.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people have a good voice.
Do you remember him standing out when you're listening to tapes?
Yeah, there were I think 4, maybe 5.
Yeah.
There was a 5th that I liked. And I think 3 of the 5 of us were like, probably needs to make the cut.
Yeah.
Now came with some different things, right, that we'd have to negotiate. But yeah, I remember the voice clearly.
Yeah,
clearly.
What? Man, we don't have to get too into the weeds here.
Oh, you can talk about what you want.
But like, what kind of stood out to you about Kyle as opposed to the other kid? Because you brought up.
Are we talking about just his voice or in the interview?
No, I mean like the whole process, right? Because like you said, a lot of people have a good voice, so it has to be a lot more than that. Like a lot of people can call a game reasonably well, although I do think it's harder than we give it credit for sometimes. But there had to have been more than that, right? I'm sure this is a pretty big job. I assume there were a lot of qualified candidates.
Yeah.
Like what kind of stood out about him to you?
So if I'll keep it a buck. I think the number one thing was I felt like he would be a good teammate.
Oh yeah.
He was very...
Because you guys have a very collaborative environment.
You feel that, right?
With you and Jess and Ben. Like, that's...
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, I can tell the way you guys talk to each other. Like, I've never been there. Like,
it's chemistry. It's chemistry, right?
I don't sit in there and, like, to be fair, I've never even been down to your booth.
Yeah.
I walk to the place where they have the food, and then I turn right back around. I don't go all the way down the hallway. Yeah. But you can tell, like, when we talk to Ben, when we talk to Jess, like, when we would talk to Greg, Obviously there was a lot of like camaraderie there, right? So that makes sense that that's the first thing you would say.
That was the number one thing that I saw the first time around. I'm like, I think he's a team player. And the magic, having been here my whole life, the magic is connectivity.
Yeah.
It's not we'll grow to like the voice, or we'll get used to the voice or the cadence or whatever. But it's the connectivity of is who's talking, are they connecting with who's listening?
Oh, and you heard him say that in the clip that Shane said.
There's over the last handful of years, especially with the new technology, and apparently people were liking the broadcasts. And I think we benefited from, Jess and I got there about the same time. I think we benefited from Nebraska being on some networks and on some games where fans had kind of grown to not like.
Oh, the television announcers?
Yeah.
So they switched to you.
So we were
for the audio.
we were fortunate.
Yeah.
I think we caught a couple of breaks, and people liked it, and so then it just kind of became this thing. Messages. Oh, got to sync it and do it like this, and we'd see it every pregame show, and Greg's heart would just swell, and it was cool, right? It was like, all right, we get along, right? We eat together, walk together. Sometimes people have to drive me together, whatever, right? It's chemistry.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily all the individual talent by themselves is the greatest. Because you can assemble,
but collaboratively,
we see this on television. We see people go for names, and they miss the chemistry.
It's ESPN versus Inside the NBA.
Like it just doesn't 100%.
ESPN's been trying to compete with that show for 2 decades.
You maybe can get a better analyst. You maybe can get a better voice. You maybe can get a better facilitator individually.
But the chemistry
that those guys have is
unmatched.
You can't replicate it. I mean, it's just what it is. But anyway, so he was a team player. I'm kind of whispering to the crew. I'm like, man, I think we could get along. Like that's the start. The tape was the tape. His voice was sensational. A couple of things behind the scenes is he's exceptionally creative.
Okay.
He's very good as an engineer too.
Oh, that's helpful.
It's incredible. He's talented. He's smart. Like he could look at this board and be just fine by himself. But he doesn't want to be by himself, because sometimes you get those guys and it's like
they want to do it. They want to be like a lone ranger situation. Yeah.
But I mean, he did these deals where he can mix his levels and fade audio in and out as he's talking.
Kind of like live in real time.
In real time.
Yeah.
It's pretty good.
Yeah.
Right? But then some of his ideas and what he's willing to do. Right?
In what sense? Like in stuff he's willing to do?
He's always wanted this job.
Yeah.
And so the cool thing is he's from about 15 minutes from where Coach Rhule grew up.
Really?
He's a New York guy.
So did he bring up why he wanted this job? Like, because a lot of people I feel like say that in interviews, like, "Oh, this is my dream job."
He's looking iconic.
It's an iconic program.
Yep. And I think now we'll see. People say they like it. I think at his age, I think it was intriguing to him to be ingrained in the community where he could stick around for a while. Like, not gonna mind going to O'Neill or Imperial.
Yeah.
Or
because that's part of it too. Like people kind of don't understand. Like it's not just I call games on Saturdays.
It very much is part of it.
Like 12 times a year.
He is the ambassador.
And then the rest of the year, I just chill and play golf or do whatever. Like you guys are busy.
He is the ambassador.
I mean, you kind of I've talked to you and Jess and Ben, and like I kind of get a sense of like, oh, you guys are doing stuff all the time.
Yeah, it's
like that's part of the thing.
And I think he has the temperament. I think he has the personality. He's extremely bright. Like it's kind of scary. He blew Troy Dannon away, and I think Dannon's tough.
Yeah. He seems like he could be a tough a tough judge.
I think he's tough.
Tough to win over.
And then the other thing was, and I have his permission. There's this thing about not being from here,
Mhm.
and I think it's nonsense. Because, and it's not just because of Kyle, but it's because of the guy that he's replacing, Sharpie.
I mean, he wasn't from here either.
Wasn't from here.
Yeah.
Now, he's a K-State guy through and through.
Mhm.
I mean, he bled purple, and he grew to love Nebraska.
Mhm.
But we have a little bit of revisionist history. He was not well received for the first couple of years.
And he came in at a really challenging time in Nebraska football.
Very challenging, which is coincidentally the reason why he and I hit it off.
Yeah.
Coming in the middle of chaos.
Middle of the season.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we just kind of what we bonded over. But anyway, and I know we got to talk NBA at 8, so I'm trying to just give the cliffs here. But I think it's important because people talk about a lot about what they don't know.
Mhm.
And the thing about you have to be careful of in this media industry in Nebraska is it's pretty tight knit.
Mhm.
I mean,
People
you
talk.
have your sex, and so,
Mhm.
I mean, short of hiring Kugler, it was gonna be everybody's gonna have an opinion.
Mhm.
But I think we knew that going in. But I think it's important for people to know. And I said this during the interview, and I got an awkward pause, and Jess brought it up last night on Husker Sports Night. I said, guys, we have to remember, we're not trying to hire the next Greg Sharp.
Mhm.
We're trying to hire the next play-by-play voice of the Huskers. And we got to do ourselves, we're doing ourselves a disservice and Sharpie a disservice if we don't look at it any other way.
Mhm.
So I think it changed the dynamics, and it took a little bit of the emotion out, because I'm not going to kid you, the compare and contrast was tough.
Sure.
It was tough.
Yeah.
But it's unfair. It wasn't the right thing to do.
Well, it's not realistic either.
And I do think, I think it was Andy or Jason, one of the two, from PlayFi said, guys, because contrary to popular belief, there's a lot of discussion. And it was, hey, we got to remember something. The fan base is extremely knowledgeable, and they understand. It's not like Sharp was fired.
Mhm.
We're not replacing anybody in a contentious situation.
And I do think that matters.
Yeah, and that wasn't even I think it was it Andy? It was one of the two people smarter than me, clearly, but both play fly guys. And like, hey, I think that's important. There will be some. I'll use the word grace.
Yeah, a little bit of grace.
And so let's not be detoured by needing to be perfect.
Mhm.
And that was also freeing.
Yeah.
So when we're talking to Kyle, and God bless Ben McLaughlin, I'm kind of like I said, Jess is very malleable,
Mhm.
easygoing.
You kind of saw it during the spring games where she was like,
Right.
"Oh, we'll figure it out."
She can just go with it.
Mhm.
I'm a little of both. I have some OCD components, but at the end, because I'm cheering for a positive outcome, like I can endure.
You'll adapt. Yeah.
I can endure. I don't enjoy it,
Even if it's not your preference.
but I can endure.
You'll figure it
right?
out.
Just being part of a team, like it's
Mhm.
just what you do. And Ben's kind of the muscle.
Mhm.
So I think as he's kind of watching this deal, he's like, listen, man, I only have X amount of time. I'm going to get my questions in.
Mhm.
And I was terrified. No, I was. He'll tell you. He will tell you.
Yeah.
One of the first things he said is, how do you handle criticism? It's a big job. People are going to say things to you. They're going to say things about you. Can you read about yourself on social media? And I hadn't even finished my salad. I'm like, oh my
It's
gosh.
like, we're coming in hot.
We're just talking about why this guy loves Edgerrin James, and now
Yeah.
Kyle's response to that and his poise was incredible.
Mhm.
And he talked about connecting with guys out in tractors or doing harvests or needing to run their kids to a sporting event because he understands the sports landscape in the state of Nebraska. His homework that he did was he was talking about our segments during broadcast, and he was calling them by the correct name. He'd say, hey, when you guys do the 5th quarter and you throw it to Coatney when he does the scoreboard updates, some things that I've seen work are, or, hey, maybe when we get down to the field to do X, Y, and Z, we can do this. Then we can fill. We can do a play. His command of what we do was incredible. He knew more about our broadcasts and Husker Sports Nightly than I do, which maybe isn't saying much. But even Jess was like, oh, my God, this dude knows me better than I do. And so you know what his greatest fear was?
What's that?
It wasn't whether he was good enough for the job. This almost broke my heart. But I'm soft. He's like, I was worried about fitting in. He said, you can feel your guys' chemistry. That's what makes the show.
Oh, so he didn't even fitting in the state. He meant with you guys specifically. That's interesting.
The state, he feels like
he can manage.
He can manage that. And it was just cool. And Ben was really honest. He said it bothered Sharpie. He didn't. He said he didn't always handle it well.
Yeah.
And
I mean, first couple years were rough.
But we talk about it.
Yeah.
And it's like we fast forward to the end like it was always rainbows and butterflies. And it's just not. And it's kind of like my Amir Abdullah thing.
Yeah.
At running back. Like we think we fast forward to the finished product, and so that's what we're looking for, and we forget how we got there.
Yeah.
And it's like, remember, we weren't enamored with him coming out of high school. Why does everybody that we recruit have to be this, and this for it to pan out? It's not always like that.
People assumed that guy was going to end up as a defensive back.
So I'm like,
yeah.
And I don't know. I think it's important, and you'll see some. We can't implement everything that he wanted to do, and we're not making like wholesale swaps. But there'll be some subtle things that he suggested where we're like, I mean, one of the ideas was good enough for me to reach out to Coach Rhule in the interview. It just made fun of me for hijacking the interview, but I was like, hey, before we kick this can down the road any further, let me just see if
is this even possible?
Yeah. And I said, hey, I just need 30 seconds.
Yeah.
Just give me 30 seconds. I'll meet you out in the hallway. I'm with Playfly. And he said a couple things, but he ended up coming over. And he ended up coming in the interview. And I'm just like, if that isn't a sign, I don't know what is. Because he didn't want to be involved in the process at all. And he wasn't, but he did make a pit stop.
That's DB. I'm Ravi. We'll be back with Steve Gardner from USA Today, talking about Major League Baseball here on Hurrdat Sports Live.
We're in the neighborhood, just down the street. With a wide variety of home equity products to help you create a relaxing oasis. So you can kick back and relax in comfort. Centrist Federal Credit Union. We are where you are.
Here with Jet Tamala, the newest Alabama commit. That sounds a little different, right?
Yeah, yes sir, it does.
Why Alabama?
I mean, I just felt the trust and support from their coaching staff, even while I was committed to Iowa State. I mean, I have all good things to say about them too, with everything I went through with them. And it really came down to the wire. And then, I mean, just the opportunity I had. My goal and dream is to go to the NFL, and I felt like Alabama's the place that could do the best for me.
You brought up the Iowa State thing. Obviously, it was a tough decision because of the connection that you had made with Iowa State. And you're a pretty loyal guy when it comes to just everything in life. So, how hard was that conversation?
I mean, we had such a good relationship that, I mean, it wasn't too hard. They kind of understood. It wasn't no hard feelings. So, kind of just told me good luck, and it really wasn't easy, to say it all. It was pretty tough for me, but I got through it, and really excited about
Welcome to Hurrdat Sports Live.
Here's the 2-1 pitch. McLean sends a fly ball to right field. This is pretty well hit. Walker's going back. He's at the wall. He leaps. It is gone.
Line drive, right field, deep off the bat of Parker Meadows. Watch that one fly. Score!
Here is Rafi, who skies one deep into left field. This thing is way back, and it is gone over the red line. It is out of here for Devers.
Welcome back, Hurrdat Sports Live, presented by Centris Federal Credit Union. That's DB and Ravi, Lulla here at Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill. We are joined now by Steve Gardner from USA Today. Talk a little baseball. Steve, how are you this morning?
Good, Robbie. How are you?
We're hanging in here this morning. I'm gonna start because I want to take the ammo away from my partner Ravi, who is a Red Sox fan who has done a 180. He was hating the Devers move, and now he kind of understands it a little better. When you look at how both teams are positioned in respective, the Giants and the Red Sox, relative to the Dodgers and the Yankees, how quickly will you be able to assess that move in the short term?
Well, it's certainly in two different leagues and chasing two different teams. I think really the Red Sox needed to make a positive move, and I don't know that you can figure in any way that taking Devers away from their lineup is a positive one from a baseball standpoint, maybe from a clubhouse standpoint, but yeah, the talk that this is going to make the team better this season that they're trying to spin in Boston just makes absolutely no sense at all to me. So right now, I think the Giants are a team on the upswing, and the Red Sox are a team that, despite the fact that they're still at that 500 level, they're definitely on a downswing, and they've lost 3 in a row.
So I do, just to play devil's advocate here, is there any validity, do you think? And I tend to agree with you. I don't think this team's going to be better for having lost Rafael Devers, at least not, like you said, on the field. But can you make any argument about, hey, part of the reason they'd struggled so much this year was blowing leads, ninth inning, like blowing a 1-run lead, blowing extra inning games, worst bullpen in baseball, getting a couple arms to help them out? Like, could you see an argument where that makes sense to say, hey, the lineup could take a hit, especially if they maybe make another move, if they go and get some help for the arms?
I guess so, but I mean, Kyle Harrison went directly to AAA, Jordan Hicks on the injured list. So it's going to be delayed gratification, if anything. And, it's one of those where you're still going to need help. Like you said, they're still going to have to make another move. It seems like to bolster that bullpen, because Aroldis Chapman can't really go out there back-to-back days, and what do you do after that? I don't know that Jordan Hicks is going to be able to step in and go into a closer's role or anything like that. So yeah, this is a team that is just kind of in disarray, and they're going to depend. They're depending on the young guys, the young prospects that are rookies, all of them this year, making the difference and coming of age very, very quickly. And as we've seen in all too many cases, that just doesn't happen the moment you step onto a major league diamond. It takes a decent amount of adjustment period.
Okay, Steve, this team is interesting, and I think last year they were the anomaly in the playoffs with the Tigers, and it was, well, they don't have this, and offensively they can't do this, and they don't have a leading hitter that does this, and they haven't had a guy that swipe bags like this. Everybody talked about what they weren't, and it was kind of this feel-good story. You fast forward a year, and they're clearly the best team in their division, and they aren't looking back. They're better than they were a year ago. How, given their offensive approach and kind of what we see with advanced metrics?
Yeah, I think the Tigers are a really interesting case study, because if it weren't for some injuries that they had earlier in the season with Parker Meadows and some of the others, allowing playing time to open up for guys that have really helped fuel them this year. And Spencer Torkelson has been one of the better hitters, better power hitters in the American League. Javier Baez has come in and been a spark plug. Who saw that coming? And the Tigers really didn't either, because, the moves that they had made and how they'd set themselves up at the beginning of spring training was for those two guys largely to be out of the picture. And yet here they are starring and fueling that surge. So yeah, this has been, good teams, when they have those kinds of special seasons, end up getting some of those unexpected performances. We know how great Tarek Skubal is.
Mm-hmm.
We know that Jack Flaherty is a veteran. He's stumbled a little bit lately, but a veteran pitcher, and we know how good he has been over the course of his career. But Casey Mize has come in and become a solid rotation cog there, and he was kind of an unknown coming into this season. So this is a Tigers team that they were able to cobble together the bullpen and make it work last year, especially in the postseason and down the stretch. This year has kind of been a continuation of that. So, this is a team that is just continuing to get better throughout the course of the year.
What do you make of Dylan Dingler?
As a glove first reputation guy, to come in and show the kind of offense, I think that to me is stunning. I have no idea where that came from, but he's been, talking about cogs in the offense, he's been another one of those unexpected surprises that had to come in and fill in because of injuries. So he's still young, he's still learning, and he's been great for him.
I want to stay in a division real quick, especially with the local ties and the fandom of the Kansas City Royals. That may not be your answer, but as you look at the division, who should be playing better, in your opinion, than they currently are?
Well, I think Cleveland maybe is playing better. I'm looking at the run differentials in that division.
Yeah, they're all minus outside of Detroit, aren't they?
The only team, right? The Tigers are plus 82 and everybody else is negative.
Yeah.
And so that generally tells you how strong you are overall. And your record, is determined a lot more by one-run games and things that are maybe not as sustainable. So I do feel like the Royals are a much better team than one that's 2 games under 500. And I've been on with you guys before, and I told you I thought the Royals were kind of my dark horse to win the American League pennant. And I still think the talent is there for them. But if Cole Reagans is hurt and is going to be out for an extended period of time, that's a huge blow for them, because he's that guy, that ace, the guy that can snap losing streaks by himself, that you need to get through the long hot summer and into the dog days and into playoff time. So that is concerning for them. But then again, Noah Cameron has come in kind of out of nowhere and then a godsend for them. So I still think you look at the talent up and down that roster, and adding Jack Caglione too, that's a team that can go on a win 9 out of 10 very easily to me.
Steve, out of the division leaders, is there one that you're just like, I don't buy it? Like, I just don't think it's there.
I think all of them seem to be legit to me. The Astros, how they do it and continue to do it.
Boy, they are something else.
Is kind of mysterious to me. So if I had to pick one of those division leaders right now, I would say the Astros would be the one. I like what Seattle does. So that race to me is far from over.
I've asked you about them, Steve, and maybe I think I have PTSD over the Mariners. 2 years in a row, it's like, hey, listen, the dark horse, man. This team, they're talking about the Rangers, the Astros. I like the Mariners, and I feel like Now I'm a little gun shy. They are playing pretty good baseball.
J-Rod needs to get going a little bit.
Are they? But they're not really even maximizing. Like, what are the Mariners missing when we always talk about their potential versus the productivity?
Yeah, the thing with the Mariners and George Kirby at the beginning of the year, I think was an underrated thing that was dragging them down because he was, he's one of the better pitchers in Major League Baseball. So he's come back. He's not really looked exactly the same, but I think he's getting there. But yeah, what is it about the Mariners? I mean, Cal Raleigh has been ridiculous.
Another one last night.
Much better.
Yeah,
they should be much better than they have been so far this season. I don't know what it is. I mean,
how much of it is
pinpoint it?
How much of it is I couldn't even, like, if we played one word association with Castillo, I'd say inconsistent. I feel he's a better talent than to give that adjective, but it fits. Like, who is he to start with?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think one of the things, there was talk at the beginning of the season about the Mariners maybe having Castillo on the trading block.
Mm-hmm.
And that was, I think, just to kind of maybe test the waters, see if other people had a higher opinion of him than they did after seeing him for a few years in a Mariners uniform and getting the same kinds of results. Some really great starts, but mostly just so.
Yeah.
And I think he could be one of those guys if he does find it and start putting things together. Perhaps that's what could fuel a Mariners run because as we've talked before, the pitching staff is fantastic, and they just need to get everything to come together. And so far, it seems like there's always a piece or something missing from them, and it's keeping them from threatening in the division.
Okay, Steve, could I try and sell you on the Phillies maybe being the fraudulent division leader? I mean, they're the only their run differential between them and the Mets is minus 19. They're at plus 41. The Mets are at plus 60. They're the only division leader that's upside down, and I believe the next closest one is 25 plus 25 runs. Like, can I talk into the Phillies, or do you like their roster enough that they don't qualify?
I mean, again, I like the Phillies. I think from top to bottom, it's a solid lineup. From top to bottom on the rotation is very solid. The bullpen, they're putting it together. But yeah, this is a team. Getting Bryce Harper back will be key for them. Mm-hmm. And I think the sooner he can come back, I don't know. It's kind of been mysterious. There hadn't been a whole lot of word out about how he's progressing, when he's coming back, any of that. So, but yeah, I mean, the Phillies, that whole National League East, though, it seems like one team gets hot, then you think, oh, gee, well, they're gonna make a move. Maybe Atlanta gets hot, and
if they played the Mets all year, they'd be fine.
Right, exactly. And so you can't really tell which team in that division is really the best. So I can see where you're coming from on the Phillies, because some days they look really good, and then other days they lose 9 out of 10 or whatever that losing streak was earlier in the year. Now they're on it. They've won 8 out of 10.
And the Mets have lost 9 out of 10.
How much of what I take from the Mets, and maybe not the current skid, but how I feel about them is because obviously, Senga's on the IL. I think he's just on the shorty. No Manaea, Montas. It looked good on paper to start the season. Are the Mets a little like the Dodgers, where you just wait for them to get healthy?
I think that's the mindset that their fans have, and they have for sure.
Do you share that sentiment, Steve?
Well, when you're 13 games above 500, it does give you a little bit of wiggle room to have that confidence. And Juan Soto, again, it's amazing to me how people that are Mets fans or say they're Mets fans can be critical of this guy. And he's been blazing hot in the month of June. So that talk is kind of quieted down, but it's crazy to me for people to get upset with a guy putting up a 440 on base percentage, and saying he's not getting the job done because he's walking. And
he may never shake that because of his eye at the plate. Like, it's just what he does.
Yeah. And it's what makes him great and what gives him the opportunity, to get on these runs like he's on right now. Because it seems like he never gets, he's always locked in no matter what, even if he's struggling a bit, making contact, hitting the ball into double plays or whatever. He's always locked in at the plate, and he's just amazing to watch. And I'm a huge fan, obviously. So yeah, that's a team that if they can get everybody back and get up to full speed, could be very dangerous come postseason.
I thought you may say the Cubs, only because, their run differential is crazy at plus 90, and when they score, but do they have enough punch for you, or do you not really worry about that with how they defend and can pitch it?
I'm not concerned at all about the Cubs offense. I think that maybe the starting pitching is the biggest concern. The Cubs are somebody,
that bullpen,
I think,
though.
Yeah, that too. So in terms of teams that need to make a move to solidify themselves for the stretch run and for October, the Cubs have to be, I think, at the top of the list. They need to go shopping. They need to bolster the pitching staff, and just the way that the offense is performed, you can say, thank you very much. We have no concerns whatsoever, and let's address that pitching, because if they can do that, then we could have some interesting playoff matchups with the Phillies or the Mets or the Dodgers or whomever. The Cubs are a legitimate contender if they just get a little bit more on the mound.
Who would you play the long game with to be more thorn in the side of the Cubs, the Brewers or the Cardinals?
I think the Brewers. The Cardinals, to me, just seem to be kind of smoke and mirroring it. The way that, they don't really have a superstar on offense. They don't really have an ace pitcher that can give you, 8 innings or something like that when you really need it. I don't know. It's one of those, they're playing well as the sum of the parts, but I don't know if that holds up for an entire season. So I would say the Brewers, just because they've been there. We've seen them do this to several teams in the past, make it to the playoffs, figure out a way, and I think the Brewers just are a better, solid team, top to bottom, than the Cardinals are right now.
Steve, we're about halfway through the season. Do you have an under the radar MVP?
Under the radar, everybody, here's the thing, everybody under Aaron Judge and Shohei Ohtani is under the radar.
Fair.
You could be having the greatest season. Just briefly mention Cal Raleigh.
Yeah.
What a fantastic season, breakout. All the projections now, if he continues to hit home runs at his current pace, he would top Aaron Judge's American League home runs record. He would hit 66 after going deep again last night. I think that's where he's at. So yeah, phenomenal offense and defense. Any other year, he could be a unanimous MVP if there weren't someone by the name of Aaron Judge playing in his league. So that's one. And then in the National League, Pete Crow Armstrong, again, where did this come from? And I'm as shocked as anybody just looking at what he had accomplished, we knew he was fast. We knew he was good on defense. Had no clue he would be this great on offense. Power, speed, everything. And to me, if you're looking at runner-up right now in the NL MVP race, it's pretty clearly Pete Crow Armstrong.
Yeah, I got one because he's a thorn in the side of the goddamn Dodgers.
Yeah,
man, Ramos in San Francisco is a really good baseball player.
Clutch.
I mean,
hitting.
Isn't he something? He's pretty
Yeah.
good. And you talk about a guy that flies under the radar because I don't think people realize how good the Giants are pretty good. I always check my rear view mirror, just because I know they're an object that's closer than they maybe appear. And I think those guys resonate with Posey, man. That's a good baseball team.
I'm really impressed with what Buster Posey's done, what the Giants have done, and obviously getting someone the quality of Rafael Devers when the Giants have for years tried to play in that deep pool of superstar talent and almost got Aaron Judge, maybe almost just got Shohei Ohtani. Some of those other guys, Carlos Correa, all of those guys just sort of didn't make it, and when it looked like it was possible, now they got their superstar in Rafael Devers, and that I think is a huge lift for them, gives them a big bat. And then once Matt Chapman comes back and this team is fully healthy, it's gonna be fun to watch, because you talk about the Dodgers rivalry with the Padres and how heated that is. The Giants could turn up the heat as well on the Dodgers, and maybe even more of a threat to them than the Padres are.
There's only three divisions that have four teams with 40 wins. I get people would see the West, and I get people would see, the AL East. But in the Central, do you like the Reds?
I don't know what to make of the Reds. I really don't, because I got a little bit excited about them. Was it last year or was it the year before? They sort of the Red season sort of blend in where it's not like they're really doing
especially
anything.
the preseason buzz. I agree with you.
They're not really doing anything to get better, but yet then Ellie De La Cruz does something ridiculous. Hunter Green, a fabulous start to the season, and then getting hurt. He could be back, in a couple of weeks, maybe, I think is what his timetable is. So, this is a team that just doesn't seem to have an identity or know what they're doing. And then just yesterday, a guy that they gave a 3-year contract to in Jamer Candelario, they just cut outright and said, we're gonna cut our losses here and go somewhere else. So I don't even know if the front office really knows exactly what the plan is, but somehow or another, they're staying competitive and are pretty interesting to watch day in and day out.
That's our guy, Steve Gardner, USA Today, covering baseball. Steve, we appreciate the time. As always, great stuff.
You got it. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Steve.
That's Steve Gardner from USA Today.
I feel like a couple years ago, everybody was on the Reds bandwagon, especially offensively. They had made a couple acquisitions, and it just didn't pan out. Hunter Green is interesting. I think he's been in the league since, 22?
I believe so. Let me check here.
I think last year was his best year at maybe 9-5 or something like that.
Yeah.
But every time he takes the bump, you're like, okay, now's the time.
Well, because the stuff is just so overwhelming, right? You just keep waiting for him to figure out.
Does he only have one season with a winning record? And I get it, wins and losses. I'm Paul Skeens, I'm talking to you. I get it, wins and losses can be a little overrated.
Yeah, 9-5 last year.
That was it, right?
Yeah, he was 4.
And then the other three were the other 2 innings, or the other 2 years. He has combined 9 wins total, right?
5-13, 4-7. He was good. I mean, he only threw 150 innings, but he was good last year. He was, sub-3 ERA. He was good last year.
If you're the Pirates, would you lose your mind over O'Neal Cruz?
Yeah. He's like an even more inconsistent version of Ellie De La Cruz, which is saying something.
You know who he reminds me of, except this guy was a little more consistent hitting.
Who?
Puig.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Just boom or bust.
Yeah.
I mean, a ball could hit him dead square in the privates, or he can make a diving catch and rob one, right? Or
get a ball 800 feet.
Yeah, and then miss
Strike
it
out
with an
8
ironing
times a
board.
row.
Yeah. Dude, I think, is he leading the league? And he's on pace to
O'Neal.
Cruz strikeouts are it's an astronomical number.
I mean, low-key, Ellie De La Cruz led the league in strikeouts last year. He was over 200. It was like a 218 or something.
Well, how many Ks does O'Neal have?
O'Neal Cruz so far this year has 101, currently leading the league.
Yeah, it's incredible.
He had 181 last year.
He's going to get to 200.
He was a full 30 behind Ellie De La Cruz last year. But, so we brought up Cal Raleigh a couple times.
You like the way he swings?
Yes.
But I kind of like the Mariners, but I say that every year and they never put up.
Can I just say something smells a little fishy here?
With Cal?
Yeah.
You're a skeptic when it comes to the needle, man. I get it.
I mean, I'm not saying it's the needle. I'm saying, okay, here's what I'm looking at, right? So he's got 32 home runs. His career high previously was 34. He's 28 years old, so maybe he's coming into his prime a little bit. Here's the number that I'm struggling with. He was a 227 career hitter coming into this year.
Mm-hmm.
He's now batting 278.
Yeah.
His batting average on balls in play is not significantly higher than it's ever been in his career.
Who doesn't gain 50 points?
58 from last year at the age 28 in his 4th full season. And his batting average on balls in
what's another 50 percentage points? What's the problem?
Well, you're underselling it. It's almost 60. And his batting average on balls in play is about the same as it's always been.
Oh.
So there's not an outlier there because that's the first thing I checked.
Maybe he had LASIK. Maybe he went to go see Dr. Kugler.
Well, let's see. What are the strikeouts compared to actually right on pace. So right on pace for the same number of strikeouts. So I don't think it's a LASIK issue. I'm having trouble with the Cal Raleigh of it all. I feel like maybe he found some fountain of youth, maybe. I don't know.
Keep watering the bamboo.
Is that DeGama or Magellan? No, Magellan is the navigating the globe guy.
I was in Magellan circling the globe.
So DeGama is the fountain of youth?
Yeah, I believe so.
Shane, you a big Bosco guy?
Bosco DeGama?
I used to like studying that.
Yeah. I liked studying all the different explorers and stuff, like big Amerigo Vespucci guy.
Incredible.
Hey, I'm tripping. I'm sliding.
I saw a statistic of, I think they're just calling them blacks. Was it? Because it's not African Americans, but populations of countries in Europe.
Okay.
Belarus is still the smallest. I know you're shocked.
Stunned.
But I did figure out why Tupac was in Italy all this time.
Oh, they got some people over there?
It's a very high percentage. It's not quite France. France is 1. Italy is 2.
What's the percentage?
Fudge.
Is it very high relatively to the rest of Europe, or in general it's pretty high?
In general, it's kind of high.
Okay, let's see. We're going to start looking up.
So I think that's why.
Can I just Google black stats? Will that bring it up?
Wow, I feel that'd be pretty general.
Okay.
And you're
right.
terrible at Google.
I'm not a great Googler. All right.
Yeah. But anyway, did I tell you yesterday that I binged a show in one day?
No, which show?
8 episodes.
Okay. What show was it?
It's called Waterfront on Netflix.
I don't know that one.
I mean, just a complete. I had to take a break because that's for Sports Nightly, and I thought Zoe was going to have a pool party that got canceled. But yeah, binged.
I mean, that's not a big number.
I'm just saying.
When 1%.
When Tupac, when he was looking for places to hang out, and he was he was going from New Zealand.
Were there the All Blacks?
It's all about. Wow, well played. Is that sevens?
It's a rugby, yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm playing along, idiot. It was the waterways.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I remember I took him back to the airport after he got the West Side gear.
Yeah.
Last year, he wasn't sure he was going back to Italy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Working on some maybe France. France is at 8%. Italy's only at 1.2. That's not a lot.
Auckland Islands, baby.
There's 5.5 million black people in France, though.
And it's hard to. Yeah, that's a lot.
That is a lot.
It's. I think he was struggling with Wi-Fi or something in New Zealand. I can't remember what he said.
Yeah.
No, you're exactly right.
No, I know, Coach, that. I know.
Compared to the U.S., which is about 13.7.
I'm gonna need you to get into Waterfront and get back to me.
Waterfront?
Yes. It's Netflix. Do you have Netflix?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, you act like I asked you to give me your left arm.
I mean, don't matter to me.
Hi, Shador.
If you're telling me it's kind of a rough watch, like
it's not a rough watch.
Oh well,
I thought it developed extremely. They rushed it.
Eric said it was rough.
Wait,
he said Waterfront was rough, but you can't stop watching.
Okay, really?
Listen, here's what I'm gonna do for you.
Why? E? I'm curious.
Here's what I'm gonna do.
What?
I'm
not gonna do anything I want.
I'm gonna Wikipedia it and see if the plot sounds like something I can get into.
It's a knockoff version of Ozark.
Okay, I didn't see Ozark either, and I know you're disappointed. I still haven't seen Ozark.
No, I've laid some duds. I am in the judgment-free zone when it comes to not seeing things.
I
still have not lived down Field of Dreams. Apparently, that was a hot take.
I will say I've seen a lot of the clips of Ozark on TikTok, and it does seem kind of up my alley.
It's fantastic.
You know, drugs and money and gangster stuff.
It was a little rushed, but it was pretty good. I could not.
We'll see. Now that the sports calendar slowed down a little bit, maybe I'll find my way back to television.
Yeah, play some catch up.
Got some stuff to get to.
Hey, we were talking about recruiting earlier with J. Rhule and Odem,
mm-hmm.
and I puts him at 7.5. Oh yeah, Eric. Oh, okay.
So the violence was a bit much.
Yeah, Eric might be kind-hearted. It was. There were some things where I was like, they did not just do that.
I mean, it doesn't bother me. So
I don't think it was okay, let me.
You don't think it was like excessive for what they were the story they were trying to tell?
I don't.
Unnecessary.
Okay. I mean, Inglourious Basterds is one of my favorite movies, so I'm probably okay.
That was on last night.
Did you watch it?
No,
of course not.
Dude, it was like 12:20.
Like that's ever stopped you?
Yeah, but I didn't know if I needed to think.
All right.
Do you need to think?
Not really.
Yeah, I wasn't.
It's mostly just about killing Nazis.
It's fine.
You and TK. I'm trying to. Was it that violent? I think when people died, it wasn't just like, oh.
More or less violent than Peaky Blinders.
Significantly less.
Okay, I'm good then. I'm good. Peaky Blinders gets after it. They get after it. There's some stuff. There's some rough stuff in Peaky Blinders.
Spoiler alert. I think I know what the couple that he's talking about, but
yeah.
Oh, thank you, Stephen. Fought in the youth with Ponce de Leon. What did Gama do? Was he the map guy?
Possibly.
Or was that Magellan?
That was Magellan, I think.
Who's the topographer?
I thought that was Magellan.
I don't know.
Which,
by the way, Topper Grace, the actor.
Is it Bosco or is it Francis?
Topper Grace is in
De Gama.
Is in Waterfront.
I don't know how to spell De Gama either.
It's DE big G AMA.
DE big G AMA. Vasco. Oh, okay. I was spelling it wrong.
Of course.
Vasco da Gama.
Right.
Got it. Just like you said. Portuguese explorer. I'll read the Wikipedia in the break.
No, yeah. Don't do that.
I said in the break.
Okay, thank you.
He was the first European to reach India by sea.
Steven is always.
Holler, Vasco. What's up, bud?
More apt to stick, Rhule or Odem, or both?
Both.
Okay, you big positive guy.
They're both coming.
Big positive guy.
Listen,
how about Nebraska touching down in the Carolinas?
Yeah,
yeah.
It's good to see everybody.
They do know a lot of people.
Yeah, they've got some connections over there. I suppose they spent some time there.
Treat Josh. Can you imagine living in his household?
That's pretty funny, though.
It'd be constant snark.
He said, "Nice route, Magellan," was a common refrain when I misjudged a fly ball in high school. I might have to use that on some of our softball players this week.
Yeah, I think quietly, internally, you're going through some emotional criticisms.
What do you mean? What do you mean?
Oh
no, we got to win this week. Got a W. 18-17. It was a barn. It was a barn burner.
Lord.
Yeah, it was a barn burner.
And it didn't hit the time.
So Can I just say, so we're playing in the lowest rec league that exists, right?
Yeah, like D-Rec or whatever.
It's F, I think, but yes.
Okay.
We are deep in the rec league.
Jeez, man.
And we are a lot of our players have not played bat and ball sport before. Okay. So we're doing our best out there. We've won a couple games. Our umpire, who was a lovely man, he was very nice. I appreciated him. So we're up 3 after we get the last out of our inning. We're the home team. And he goes, all right, there's 12 seconds left. Let's start the next inning.
I kind of like guys like that, though.
12 seconds? It was beeping before I walked back out for the inning.
Who was home team?
We were home team.
Oh.
So we were up 3.
Yeah, that's a wrap.
I was like, what are we – the next game – so we played an extra half an hour because, of course, they tied it in the top of the next inning, and then we had to win on a walk-off. But the next game didn't start a half hour late. I was like, bud, 12 seconds. You got to wrap that thing up.
Just don't come out of the dugout when you argue. You'll be fine.
No, it's cool in softball. It's just not good in baseball.
Just don't argue balls and strikes, you know.
Which, by the way, the NCAA needs to clear that up.
Yeah, the NCAA has a lot of things they need to clear up, but the umpire,
have they issued the new statement on what the ejection was actually for?
It was they issued it almost immediately. They issued it in real time.
I was just trying to figure out it's not necessarily from the NCAA, but they need to get the memo to Schnall because Schnall was making it about something else.
Yeah, no, the only
like bumping the umpire, which was what the famous press conference was about.
Yeah,
he uttered the line that you loved, which I think was
shouldn't be held responsible for another grown man's athleticism.
Yeah, that was so passive aggressive and petty. That was incredible.
He tripped over his own feet.
And I'm 48 years old. I shouldn't get shooed.
Or be responsible for another grown man's athleticism.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, hell yeah, I want to do it now.
Yeah.
That's fine. You think they're still partying in Baton Rouge?
Yeah, I think so. I think they finally cleared the streets of Omaha. They're going back to Louisiana.
How about Schaefer giving us some homework?
I know. I don't know how I feel about that.
You weren't cool with it?
No, it was fine. I was just
you asked him to resend it.
I did, yeah, because the link didn't come through the first time for me.
Yeah, and then it showed up double
trouble. No, it was good.
I'm with Kobe on this one. We were notorious with that.
So I didn't
walk slow.
I was trying to tell the batters. I was like, hey, like just chill, like chill on the way to the plate, because he gave us a 1 minute left, and I was like, hey, walk slow, take some pitches. It's cool.
You're that dude.
Listen, we haven't won a lot, and we were up 3. I was like, let's squeeze out this W. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I was like, hey, walk slow, take some pitches, take your time. Nobody's in a rush here. We don't need to be swinging. Like, just chill. And they did not listen. Execution there was poor on the stall tactics.
I
almost called time, but I didn't want to be that guy.
Oh, wow.
I almost wanted to be like, hey, I got to discuss strategy with my batter here real quick, but I didn't want to be that guy, so I didn't do it.
At least you're consistent.
What? About which part?
Just petty.
Well, yeah. Listen,
incredible.
DB, we haven't won a lot. I wanted to get that W.
I'm with you.
I was trying to squeeze out the W.
I'm here for you.
And it happened the long way. We got it done still. Our guy Kyle, you like so much, our video guy.
Yeah, he's cooler than a fan.
He drove me in with a game-winning single, so we got the dub.
Does he participate with kindness too?
He's got a little more edge to him, but he's a very nice human.
He is incredibly nice.
He's a kind soul. He really is.
Yeah, I rock with that guy.
Yeah.
You don't have to say, "Oh, Kyle, the guy you like so much."
Well, you do. You love Kyle.
I do, but it's kind
of. Well,
of.
He's incredible at what he does.
It's kind of between me and you.
Oh, my bad.
Didn't you used to buy those cards at Hallmark?
Just the between you and me and you cards.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The little watercolors.
Yeah. I forgot about those until this very moment.
Hey, did you see my guys today?
Yeah. Who do we got today? Okay, we've got
a very clean shaven.
I barely recognize EJ there.
Yep. He's got a full-on beard.
And then Addison.
Yes.
Yeah, that's appropriate for D-back and running back.
That one was too easy today.
Yeah, a little too easy. That's all right though.
I appreciate
it.
You know who I almost brought today? Peter Carroll.
Ooh.
Surprise, surprise.
Do you know why I almost brought Pete Carroll?
Head coach of your Las Vegas Raiders.
I was on like the fifth loop of the 4-letter network late last night, and I was getting fantasy picks.
Really?
That's what segment I was on one of the 4 ESPNs. And they were trying to tell me that Ashton Jeanty could go anywhere from 5 through 9 in the fantasy draft this year. Does that seem high?
Maybe, but
maybe.
Here's the thing, though, and I've kind of wanted to talk about.
Maybe.
I don't know if we have enough time here, but I've kind of wanted to talk about the rookie running backs and kind of their fits for a little while, because Jeanty is in like a really good spot.
He is,
and
he is.
I also look at the running back kind of from a fantasy perspective, and I go, okay, you want a guy, as much as anything, you just want a guy that's going to get a ton of carries. Right? Like you want a workhorse at running back, because the way fantasy points are lined up, it's just advantageous to have a guy that's
I do actually think the Raiders would be good offensively.
Well, and I think he's going to be a big part of it, right?
They have good skill.
I like Geno in that with
I had to talk you into Geno once upon a time. I'm glad you like him now.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm happy for him. I'm happy that he stuck with it. I appreciate that about
He
Geno.
said I'm happy for him.
I am.
And he got the extension.
I appreciate that he stuck with it and it worked out.
I think it was was it 273 or 2-year 75?
I thought it was.
I don't know. Whatever it was pretty good.
280.
That's pretty
like
good paper.
No, he got taken care of.
Well, who else is in the discussion? Hampton.
So Hampton's the other one, because I loved that pick real time. Like as it was happening, as the Chargers came up on the clock, I was like,
Hampton with
ooh.
Harbaugh toting the mail,
and Herbert. Like I think that's a really interesting spot. That's the one where I'm fascinated by and honestly, selfishly, because I thought in the moment it was a good pick, and so I wanted
the Chargers should be good offensively too.
Yeah, and Harbaugh.
I mean,
Harbaugh
year
loves the
two
running
with
back.
some of those young wide receivers. I
Yeah.
mean, you were led by a rookie.
I mean,
So
Harbaugh loves a running back.
Yeah.
Well, and just the running game in general, right? I feel like he can do some creative things there.
So the thing about
I think Genty's going to be your workhorse, but I think Hampton might be the most creatively used.
Well, what about Judkins?
So those are the other three that I have are Judkins in Cleveland, Henderson in New England, and Caleb Johnson in Pittsburgh.
Henderson in New England is
interesting.
Is very interesting.
It's really interesting,
especially with his head coach.
Yeah,
and Henderson can do a lot of things.
Yeah, like he's a pretty versatile back.
Judkins in Cleveland. I got to go back and run through their revamped offensive line again, because at the quarterback spot.
So that's the thing. Are you going to have enough?
They're not going to honor.
Are you going to have enough of a passing game to keep anybody honest? Because you definitely will with the Chargers.
Yeah, and you will in
Las Vegas. And you should in New England.
Yeah, you need somebody to develop as the guy in the wide receiver room.
For New England.
Yeah,
yeah. But I think you like Drake May enough.
I like Drake May a ton.
And then Caleb Johnson in Pittsburgh, I think, is interesting. I don't think he's going to have like the gaudy stats, but he's an interesting guy there.
I like him.
Yeah.
I like KJ to begin with. But I've always hated the Steelers' run game. So
yeah. But I do think with Rodgers.
Again, Matt D. Marina is telling me I
don't like any of your teams.
I hate something else about my team. But their run game does suck.
Just stylistically, you're not a fan.
Yeah, it's just not very creative.
Yeah.
But it's how their offensive line is built too.
So you have to stick with it.
Yeah, when you get graders, you got to grade. Like I'd like to see a little more.
A little stretch.
Just
outside zone, inside zone,
athleticism,
counter.
I'll even give me some pin and pull.
Yeah,
give me something.
Yeah,
I don't want to get an I formation with an H offset H back and run toss.
I do love a good pull scheme.
Me too, but you have
to have certain types of offensive linemen to pull it off.
It's obviously predicated on what has to happen up front. For rookie back, there's a lot of good ones.
I think
there's just a lot of good ones.
From a fantasy perspective, I do think it comes down to Genty or Hampton. But in terms of overall impact for the team, I find Henderson really interesting in New England.
Their roster is interesting too.
You think they could be a little I think they could
Sneaky.
be a little interesting.
I like Drake May.
I do too. And
you're gonna have to start. Well, Campbell's got to start as a rookie, right? You don't draft him or not start him.
Yeah.
So you'll go Campbell, Strange, Bradbury,
and then I think
Morgan Moses.
I don't know. Maybe.
Do you believe in Demario Douglas as a wide receiver?
No.
Do
at
you
best.
believe in Stephon Pink Diggs?
I think maybe for a year. You can get what you need out of him.
What about?
Is that fair?
What about Butte?
I do love the Butte.
I don't know if I don't know about Henderson, but they can throw it to him too.
Yeah, and you do still have
Hunter Henry should be fine.
Ramondre, right?
Yeah, Stevens.
Yeah, so I don't know that. Like you're going to split time there, obviously.
I like Henderson better than Judkins, but I always have. So I don't. It doesn't have anything to do with Judkins being in Cleveland.
I've gone back and forth on him. I think there was a point last year during the year I liked Judkins a little bit better at Ohio State. I think I came around on Henderson by the end of the year. You know what it was? It was in a draft prep when I was watching him just annihilate people on blitz pickup.
Oh, yeah.
And he was just smoking dudes. And I was like, man, I like this guy.
How quickly would you, if you're in Buffalo, would you pay Cook? He's going to want to get paid.
Yeah, I don't. So I think I don't know what to do there because I've kind of been on this pay running backs thing.
Yes.
But they actually have the dude at quarterback in Buffalo.
Yeah.
So it doesn't totally apply to my logic the way it's been working. Because my logic is like, hey, pay a great running back half of what you have to pay a mediocre quarterback.
You know who's interesting?
Right?
But he's not. I don't know if how much he's going to play as a rookie.
Who?
Brashard Smith in Kansas City is interesting.
What interests you there?
Because he's versatile and he's a home run and you can throw it to him and they're innovative.
What's a
you
comp from what we've seen in their offense before to what you think he can be?
Oh, well, so that's hard because
is he different?
The guys that I want to throw, the guys that they throw it to out of the backfield.
Yeah,
he's better than Allaire.
Okay,
and he's not Priest.
Okay,
right. So
yeah,
I don't know, Harvey Williams maybe.
What about throughout the league? Maybe
you remember,
not just
you remember Harvey
I
Williams?
don't really.
Forte maybe early with the Bears.
Okay. So if he can be, I mean, even if it doesn't put up those numbers.
I just look at really talented guys in good schemes.
Okay.
But he's right now, I assume he's got to be behind Pacheco and Hunt.
Yeah. I mean, he's got to be. At least Pacheco, right? I mean, I don't really know.
He's a guy I would throw in there.
Am I
not as a high? I wouldn't draft him high in fantasy.
Sure,
I'm just saying he's a guy that you could
like
look at
an impactful football player
at the end of the year, and you're like,
What about? Because I'm sort of. I sort of think Hunt might be washed. Is that a hot take?
It depends on how they use him.
Like I'm not sure that I'm not sure that I'm in there on Hunt anymore.
Do you like Monangai in Chicago?
I think he's interesting. Now, again,
he certainly can find a hole better than DeAndre Swift.
I am the same guy that
I worry about his vision.
Swift?
Oh God, yeah. It's weird for a guy that talented.
I mean, Detroit seemed pretty okay moving on or letting him move on.
Yeah, quickly.
But
they also hit the jackpot.
Yeah,
though.
Yeah. I mean, you got Gibbs and you feel prety good there.
But even when they drafted him, people were like, "Oh, that makes sense." I'm like, "Yeah, yes, it does."
I did think Gibbs.
I
thought Gibbs was a reach when they did it. I remember saying it, and I was wrong, obviously. But I remember feeling like that was a reach. But I think I'm out on Kareem Hunt. They got Elijah Mitchell though too, didn't they?
Yeah, and he should probably start ahead.
He's interesting.
He should start ahead of. He will start out in camp, I'm sure, ahead of Brashard.
Yeah. Because Elijah Mitchell's pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
Elijah Mitchell's good.
I got one for you.
Uh-oh.
I think you should put him in.
I'm listening.
Because I liked him pre-draft, so I'm admittedly biased.
Okay.
I think R.J. Harvey needs to be in the discussion.
Ooh.
And he's with Sean Payton, and Payton made Kamara a star. Well, Kamara made Kamara a star, but
I was gonna say
but that's that offense, though.
Yes. No, I understand what you're saying.
And R.J. Harvey is way good.
So they also picked up J.K. Dobbins this year, didn't they?
Yeah, as a hammer.
Yeah.
He's post a couple injuries, which is fine. He'll be all right. But
I will say the upgrade for Harbaugh from like J.K. Dobbins to Omarion Hampton, I think, is incredible. Like their offense last year for kind of piecemealing together the running back spot.
You know what we're going to figure out in a hurry?
What's that?
Did I like Hampton just because of the colors in his jersey, or is he a really good runner?
Well, he's going to have similar colors now, so maybe you still like him.
Because
there's a party that's not sure.
I mean, he was a little feast or famine.
Sure.
You know?
I think scheme-wise, though, he's like that's a good scheme for a running back.
Yeah, that's really nice.
Like he's going to give you opportunities to be successful, and you're going to have some good shots.
That was, keep an eye on RJ Harvey.
RJ Harvey's an interesting one. That's not one I had on my radar.
He's really good. I'm telling you, he's Bucky Irving 2.0.
I probably
that's the comp.
Didn't watch enough UCF last year to have a super strong take on it.
Yeah, dude's legit.
Yeah. I mean, I will say that the Sean Payton thing has my ears
I
up.
probably would put Harvey on the list ahead of the top 5, ahead of KJ.
No, that's fair. Yeah, I missed that one. I would say that's fair. I think part of the reason
they'll throw him the rock too.
I think part of the reason I put KJ on the list is because I wondered how you felt like he felt fit in Pittsburgh. Would you put him? Oh, I put him over Judkins.
Although apparently training camp has been pretty good with Rodgers. So.
Yeah, I'd put Harvey over Judkins situationally.
Oh, because he's in Cleveland?
Yeah. Like I think Judkins is in a really tough spot.
Probably agree.
Like that's gonna be tough.
I need to look at.
I would say Harvey's kind of in the mix there with Henderson for good spot, good scheme. I think that makes sense to me.
So left to right, the Browns are going to go Dwan Jones, Batoino, Pocic, Teller, Conklin. Yeah, it might be rough sledding. And I know one thing, Deontay Johnson shouldn't be your number 1.
And they're not going to –
I mean, they're going to put – you do have Judy and Tillman.
How many guys are you going to put in the box?
A lot.
Yeah. You're putting minimum 7?
A lot.
Yeah, you're putting a lot of dudes in the box. They're going to pretend like Malik Willis is back there at quarterback. They might put 9 in the box.
So they can throw it.
Is there a soul on that squad that can throw it? I know they got Judy. Doesn't do him any good. We'll talk to Mike Schaefer coming up next here on Hurrdat Sports Live.
Give me that cheddar, we getting Rico. Big money and rolls like burritos. Give me that hot sauce, no pico. Give me that.
Avery Howard here at Dylan Raiola at the College World Series. Dylan, you've been here all week, but you've been supporting a lot of your guys. Today, you're supporting a buddy of yours, Derek Carriel. How cool has it been to watch him out here and now compete for a championship?
It's kind of surreal to see what he's doing. I'm very proud of him, and I hope he gets this win today so we can celebrate together. And it's just crazy. Nebraska's in the middle of the country, and people don't really know about the state or what it's about. So to have him kind of meet up with us here, it's a cool experience.
And you've shared publicly that you've been really proud of your Polynesian culture and how they represented this week. Why is that something you're so proud of?
Yeah, it's just the island's so small, and the guys are just such great people, and that I think it's cool that we get to show that off on a national stage like this. So, I'm very, very excited, very happy for them, and, we look to keep it moving.
For people that haven't been in the College World Series, you've been all week. What makes this event so special?
I think just the fans that come out here from all the different schools, the atmosphere that they kind of create, with the music and everything like that. It makes it an experience that, you should come try for sure and kind of make a fun weekend out of it.
Imagine your first dream home and the feeling of walking inside for the first time. With Centrist Federal Credit Union's First Time Home Buyers program, you are at the doorstep of bringing your vision to life. Welcome home. From your neighborhood mortgage experts, Centrist Federal Credit Union. We are where you are.
We're here with Will Preston. Will, big kind of month here in June for you. You kind of took off. So as far as recruitment's concerned, that's what we want to talk about the most. But I kind of want to talk about the hard work and effort that's gone into 2 Division I offers. And it seemed kind of out of nowhere. People just look up statistics for you.
Yeah, so I say like this summer, I started getting in the gym a lot more. I started doing a lot of workouts with my dad.
Yeah.
I did lots of weight training. I started doing that and did a lot of conditioning too. That's most of it, yeah, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, you've always been a bigger guy,
Yeah.
right? And you can step out and hit a 3 and do all those things. Your game's kind of developed more to now you're playing more 4 out. You're the one in, get back to the basket, post stuff, right?
Yeah. Yeah, we changed the offense from last year. They have me in the dunker spot now, which is nice. It's a little for my game because I'm a little bit of a bigger player. Yeah.
Welcome to Hurrdat Sports Live.
Welcome back, Hurrdat Sports Live, presented by Centrist Federal Credit Union. That's DB. I'm Ravi, Lulla here at Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill. Do we have Schaefer?
Not yet.
Okay. I wasn't sure.
Wait. Well, you can see.
Well, I didn't know because last week he was on the phone. So I didn't know
that's
if he,
right.
And I thought I heard him call. So I wasn't totally sure.
Shane, were you talking to the feds?
I was just giving him 2 minutes heads up, so.
It's the po-po. You got to be careful.
I haven't heard that in.
You know, you don't have to be careful of though.
I haven't heard that in years.
Your kid's eating for free on Tuesdays at Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill.
Today's Tuesday.
Today's Tuesday.
Uh-oh.
You buy an adult entree, you get a free kids meal.
Shucky
Boom.
ducky.
There you go.
You getting the shrimp? The shrimp.
I do like the bang bang shrimp.
Yeah.
That stuff pops.
The cheese dip is.
Oh yeah.
Really, really fantastic.
Really good. I'm a fan.
My mom liked that too.
And I haven't had the shrimp in a while. I might need to roll.
Well,
up.
they got one that's part of the special.
Ooh. I'm gonna have to investigate. I haven't had the shrimp special.
You like shrimp too.
I do. I love shrimp. Shrimp's one of my go-tos.
Yeah,
one of my go-to proteins.
Because you're not processing beef correctly, right?
Yeah, I'm not doing a ton of beef right now.
That's why beef is high.
Yeah, it's saving me. I mean, honestly, it's not saving me that much money because I'm still buying seafood, but you know,
which is
seafood's not cheap.
More expensive.
It is. Yeah, I was like, well, it's saving me money. I was like, nope, I'm buying seafood instead.
We have Mike, by the way.
Let's bring on our guy, Mike Schaefer, Husker 24/7. Schaefer, what's up, buddy?
Not a ton. With beef prices being high, I'm excited. I bought a quarter of a cow the last 2 years, so we're loaded with ground beef in the freezer over here at Casa de Schaefer. So,
can you believe the news was just coming on. Well, I should have watched the 4 a.m. or the 5 a.m., but the news was just coming on. They were getting ready to do a special on how to combat the rising prices of beef. I'm missing the catalyst though. I didn't stick around for the news segment. Why is it so high currently right now?
I mean, what isn't high right now? I know we're not that kind of show, but if you can name anything that isn't more expensive now than it was, say, a year ago, I'd be relatively surprised. 24/7 Sports hasn't raised their prices in a decade. That is consistency right there.
24/7 Sports, inflation proof. You heard it here.
Yeah.
Yes. Go 24/7.
Can't promise that the analysis is not, it's not idiot proof, but the price is inflation proof. So
That's all you can ask for.
Schaefer, I
Really,
grilled.
it's truly all anyone could ever ask for.
Schaefer, I grilled 3 consecutive days, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and didn't bat an eye at 100+ degree heat.
You probably have long sleeves on too.
I actually did. So one day I was in a full-blown sweatshirt. Actually, 2. But I'm telling you, like, it's fine. Everybody laughs. But I somehow managed to stay cool. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's just conditioned, but I was wearing a t-shirt around the house the other day, and Micah goes, "Oh my gosh, you got orbs." I was like, oh, funny guy.
Mike is funny. I like that
No,
kid.
Mike is not. Shafe, did you Blackstone it at all during the heat?
No, the problem I have is my Blackstone's on our deck, and our deck sits up. Our house sits on like a little bit of a perch, and so the southwest wind is just brutal. And
it was high. It was high.
Yeah, I mean, it was 35 to 50 mile an hour wind all weekend. Like more than not being able to use the Blackstone, having a 16-month-old that only wants to be outside every minute of his entire awake life. And we couldn't really do anything outside because the wind would just blow him over. Like he didn't really stand much of a chance. You know, he'd be like running around, he'd lose his balance a little bit. It was just like, you know, knocked over like he just got taken out by a linebacker or something. So we did a little water table stuff, but even though he built low to the ground, that wind was rude this weekend, to say the least.
Does your appetite change with the heat?
What do you mean?
You're not as hungry. Like,
oh yeah. I don't want to eat when it's that hot. There's certain foods I don't want to eat in the summer months. Like Shelby will be, hey, let's have tater tot casserole or some kind of soup or stew, and I'm like, no.
I don't know, man. As long as you're not putting corn in it, I may rock with tater tot casserole anytime, all day.
She's that way too, and more power to both of you.
Stew when it's 100 degrees outside is diabolical.
Do people still eat stew? Like beef stew?
Beef stew? Oh, beef stew's incredible.
Oh, I'll pass.
Also part of the quarter of the cow. Get some stew meat in there. Get some potatoes, celery, some onion for flavor.
Oh.
Get that tomato paste, a little broth to thicken it up even more.
Hey,
I'm really more of a chili over stew guy, if I'm being honest.
I
like chili. Big chili
Shafe,
guy.
what's your go-to in a pinch protein? Is it just ground beef, or like short notice, didn't take anything out, but you got to get something going? Like, what's the go-to protein?
Well, the easiest is probably ground beef for defrosting purposes. If I didn't take anything out, I mean, we're pretty well split between beef and chicken for the most part. We need to get some more pork. I saw some pork chops the other day, and I haven't had a good thick pork chop in a while. That sounds really good to me. But it's a lot of chicken breasts, a lot of chicken just in general.
Do you eat all the parts, like thighs? Are you white dark meat?
I'm more chicken breast, wings, and then legs. Like I love drumsticks. I absolutely, when there's fried chicken and like all pieces, I'm looking for the drums. Yeah. I'm the 37-year-old man who's looking for the drums because he's at heart 6 years old and will never not be looking.
Mike J, L3, and Zoe.
Yeah.
The drumstick kings. Like
Drummy crew. Let's go.
That's her favorite. That's her favorite piece. I'm like,
fried chicken drumsticks.
Oh, elite. I remember going to like Baker's when I was a kid, and if I was good, my mom would give me a couple of pieces of fried chicken.
And that's back when Baker's had the best fried chicken in the city.
Incredible fried chicken.
It was them and no frills.
We would go, and I would every time be like, hey, Mom, can you make sure I just get drummies? Just tell me I want the drummies.
I'm telling you, no frills, and Baker's had the best fried chicken in the city. Here's the other thing. I don't even know why we're talking about food, except for we can keep you as long as we want, Mike J. So I'm very happy about that. I'm a guy that won't eat a fried thigh, but I don't mind thighs any other way. Whether I grill them, I'll pan fry them, but I don't like.
I never buy them.
I don't. Dude, they're so cheap. It's incredible, and I watch a lot of videos, so I can. If I want them boneless,
dress 'em
skinless,
up a
I
little
can
bit.
take them out my own way. If
It's
I
a cooking video favorite for sure. Everything's chicken thighs. And then like in the captions, it's like, you can use chicken. You can use whatever you want, but they always use chicken thighs.
So I literally, and I think Severe was going to fight me one day, literally, over the thigh versus breast argument. I was the breast guy. He's like, it's bland, it's this, it's that. He's, well, you just don't cook it right. He's like, no, it's more versatile. I've missed thighs for 45 years. The last 6 years,
You're making up for.
he clearly won the argument.
You become a thigh man?
I like it. I like it all. The only thing I discriminate against is I do not eat fried chicken thighs. But I'll eat any piece of the chicken almost any other way.
I do think thighs have a little bit more flavor naturally.
And they just, when they fry, they're a little too fatty for me.
Yeah. So here's the thing: when you fry chicken, like that's why I like the drummies so much.
This is interesting. You tell me about fried chicken. I'm all ears.
I think we almost lost Schaefer.
I'm just what I do. What?
Just keeping it together by a thread over here, guys.
Next, never mind. I'm not gonna say it. I can't say it. Don't say it. Don't say it. Don't say it. Okay.
The thing about fried chicken is what?
So with the drummies, your like crisp to chicken ratio is way better than with some of the other cuts. That's part of the reason I like the drumstick so much. Is like your crispy chicken to the actual meat ratio is really, really good.
I get it.
That's why drumstick, the fried chicken drumstick is up there for like best first bite.
Yes.
When you think about food, like that immediate first bite that you just know whether you're going to have a fantastic experience, an okay experience, a good experience. The fried chicken drumstick, that first bite is up there with about anything else.
Agreed.
All right, this is my last question because I'm curious. I eat drumsticks. I don't turn it down. But don't you guys feel like that's the piece where you can't get the most off the bone? Or do you get the gristle and the little stringy part and eat the knob off? Like, do you get it all, or is there like leftover on the?
I probably don't pick.
You know what I mean when
wings.
I say knob,
like, yeah,
like
I think I don't pick wings as
like
cleanly as I do drum.
Right.
Like I just attack the drumstick like a savage, basically.
All right.
It would not make for aesthetically pleasing video watching me eat it.
I'm wasteful, so I'm just gonna get like however many drumsticks I need to get the parts of the chicken that I want.
You're spinning. Dude, you know how many times he low-key humble brags? Like, it's incredible. I mean, listen, I know I'm only eating about 3/4 of the drumstick, but if I want, 6 pieces worth of meat, I'll just buy 12 drumsticks. I mean, what's the big deal? It's like I waste not.
I think that the math isn't quite working there.
Here's the thing: is you and I are buying the same amount of drumsticks. I just don't have to feed any kids with it.
Oh, good point.
And my wife's a vegetarian, so like if I'm buying probably less chicken than you guys,
I mean,
and I'm still coming up out on top.
It's why it's cheaper because there's not enough meat for the bone.
It's the best taste though. Like the best crunch to chicken ratio. It's perfect. Listen, sometimes you got to spend a little extra to get what you want.
You should hear his philosophy on white steak fries versus thin fries. Thin fries have a better crisp to potato ratio.
Absolutely.
Shane.
It's all
100%.
about See, he knows what I'm talking about. Steak fries
texture. It's about the texture. Like if you have steak fries and they're not cooked in the right way, then all it is just this like potatoy glob
it's
that
just
falls apart in your mouth.
sliced baked potato, which is disgusting. That's all steak.
I certainly wouldn't call it disgusting. But
I'm not a fan. I don't like it.
I want the crisp of a fry. That's why like the crinkle cut fries have such a high risk reward ratio.
Oh yeah.
Because if they're not done correctly, if they're not
mush.
crispy, it's just sort of like, the old TV dinner French fries. Those
I watched
the
a guy on TikTok do food reviews. He was someplace in Louisville, and he's like trying stuff across America, so you don't have to. He's pretty popular. And he got waffle fries, and this was just the other day. And you would have thought he'd been into a raw potato, and he went all in, Schaefer, on the lack of crisp and the surface area of the waffle fry. I'm like, oh my God, I think I'm talking to L3.
I would say waffle fries are much more high risk, high reward than even crinkle fries. Schaef's right. Crinkle fries are very hit and miss here.
Yeah.
But waffle fries, a bad waffle fry is like just biting into a potato.
Oh, He gave it like a 2 out of 10, which is rare.
Wow. That's pretty brutal. I have to admit to doing this now. If I get home and I'm unhappy with what looks like the quality of the French fry, I will have the air fryer out and re-air fry it to get it to the crisp level that I want.
Yeah.
Like this is where I'm at. I make no apologies for it.
I'm not gonna lie. So there's 3 things I was late to the game on, extremely late, that have changed my life.
Kyle's right, by the way. Wedges are whack.
Chicken fries or chicken thighs, the air fryer, and streaming.
Hey, you can put all of those together now.
All things I didn't start streaming until like 3 or 4 years ago. I missed PlayStation 2. I missed all the good streaming. Dude, I don't think I did satellite TV until COVID.
Seriously?
It's embarrassing.
But you're a man who watches a lot of stuff. You were telling me about Mr. Mercedes. How are you watching this without streaming?
Well,
he's paying $600.
Did your definition of streaming change in the last 4 years? Is that what happened?
So I think 2019 is when I made the switch.
Okay.
And I actually came home to it. It wasn't by choice. I know that's. I'm just telling the truth.
You're ambushed.
I thought when you were going to tell us you had a streaming guy, you have a guy for everything else. Someone in your life just came over and taught you how to stream.
We were so late to the streaming game. The special that we were getting on the gaming console only lasted about another 2 weeks. We were at the tail end of the PlayStation.
The good news is you got it in 2019 before the world shut down in 2020. So you had some time to really.
That's true. You'd have been in trouble. Trouble.
I don't know what we would have done with Ozark.
That'd have been rough. You'd have been watching a lot of marble racing.
Well, I was definitely late to and the air fryer. I didn't get the first one until had to be 4 years ago.
Yeah.
And it's a total game changer.
We have a 2-basket air fryer, and that thing's fantastic when you're making certain meals, to be able to have 2 different baskets going at once.
Oh, so you could do your potatoes and your meat at the same time?
How much counter surface area does it take?
Not that much. I can send you a picture of it so you can see. It was a wedding gift that we received because Connor Happer got married a few months before I did. Yep. I was like, hey, what's the best thing that you received? And he told me about that air fryer. So we put it on our registry and someone got it for us. And it is pretty great.
Again,
I'm not going to lie.
Another principled eater.
Oh, yeah.
Connor Happer.
Yeah, for sure.
That dude is hilarious. All right, Mike J. Let's start with, I suppose we'll talk a little recruiting.
Okay. All right, yeah.
That
makes sense.
Yeah. Well, I almost joked about, so Sauter has now adopted Schaefer into the mowing family. Since you're out on the mowing family, he has now pulled Mike J.
I have always been out, and it never stopped him before.
I was going to talk to Schaefer about mowing. I was like, no, we've wasted too much time. All right, Mike J. So Odem and obviously Rhule. Let's start with Rhule, the Carolina area, a little bit of a bigger back, versatile, 1-back offense. Looks fairly explosive. Maybe not elite level speed. What do we like about Rhule and kind of where he is?
What I like about him is that it's a little bit different than the previous running backs you brought in, specifically in terms of Mekhi Nelson and Jamarian Parker. But I think he's different than Connor Booth, too. I mean, I think that people want to probably lump those two together. But I think there's some difference there, too. He has some thump in his game, which I think is important. I also think this is a guy who's right around 6 foot right now, right around 200 pounds. By the time he actually carries a ball for Nebraska, whenever that happens, I think he's going to be like a pretty well-built 215, 220. You're going to get some weight on him. And I think he's a workhorse. I like his mentality. This was a guy that initially, when I was going through Nebraska's running back rankings or their running back board, which was pretty much always Brian Bonner, Jamal Rhule, Josephin Walker in some sort of order. I was big on Brian Bonner. I still think Brian Bonner has a lot of explosiveness and big play upside. But I started talking myself into Jamal Rhule sometime around May when I was going through it over Walker a little bit, because I think the other thing that Rhule does that maybe gets lost in this is he catches the ball out of the backfield pretty well already. And if we've learned anything from Dana Holgerson's 4 games and Matt Rhule this spring, they want running backs who can do a little bit of everything. I also like that because he provides some thump, it makes me think that he's going to be a guy who can pick up pass protection pretty easily too. Like I think they ended up with a sort of versatile all-around running back that you wouldn't have necessarily thought if you just looked at, the baseline. This is what his height, weight is. You're just thinking, oh, he's probably not going to be that fast. Well, his 400 time is really, really good. I think he has more bursts than it is straight fast. But this is someone that I actually like this running back addition quite a bit. I think Parker might be a little higher for me when I weigh the four guys Nebraska's brought in, under EJ Barthel. But I ended up kind of talking myself into Jamal Rule quite a bit. And I think some of it is I really like what I think his body size is going to be by the time he actually is going to be involved in Nebraska's offense. Plus, he's just a personality. When I talked with him, he seems like someone that's ready to go to work. Like if he could skip his senior year and just be at Nebraska and go to work right away, I think we would want to do that too. So there's some intangibles in there that I liked about my conversations with Jamal Rule as well.
I like how he runs behind his pads, right? He doesn't play small.
Runs heavy.
Yeah, he's a heavy runner, and he falls forward.
He's got a good center of gravity too. Like you're not getting like a lot of clean shots on him. Yeah. He moves off of contact. I've had this conversation with different college coaches because for me, and I am not an evaluator, I don't want to be considered an evaluator. I just have thoughts and opinions, and I can't stop talking. So, don't misconstrue those things. I have a tougher time with running backs and evaluation than I do almost any other position, because so much of the highlights that you see is a guy just running through one arm tackle and being faster than everyone else on the field. That doesn't tell you how they're going to play against likewise talent. Watching someone who always bounces everything to the outside and scores 70-yard touchdowns doesn't tell you how he's going to play in the Big Ten when he's got to go through traffic. When you put on Jamal Rule's film, you see someone that can move off of contact. You see someone that moves between his tackles and runs through the middle, provides punishment. I don't think it makes him a 4-star or a 5-star or anything like that, but I can more visually see how he can help an offense than I can that home run hitters whose film is just him running past everyone.
Yeah, I remember really struggling. I'll give you two that'll be right in your wheelhouse, Schaefer. Evaluating Leon Jackson and Terrell Newby. It's like every time you watch Leon Jackson, it's like, oh my God, Pasco. This guy is, what kind of football are they playing up there in Washington, right? This dude was just a long strider, and he was really hard to grade. And then Newby, a lot of home runs. And
Chaminade. He just everything was he would bounce one cut off the tackle and then just be gone. And I remember being really excited about him. And it's not like his career at Nebraska wasn't solid, but it just wasn't the running back that I thought
but you know what though, Schaefer? He turned out to be a little bit different.
That's not really who he ended up being at Nebraska.
Like that Minnesota game where he was tough and those downhill slashing runs. I was like, he grew into being a more complete back. Like I think it was a process for him to learn to run in traffic and change his low center of gravity versus in high school, and he was kind of just getting the baton. Those were two guys I think highly, highly rated that were really hard to eval because of what you just were describing.
Yeah, I think that's fair. And one of the things about Newby is I think he had to make himself get tough. He didn't have to be tough in high school. And early in his freshman year, I think that was like a big thing for him, is he had to prove that he could be tough for Ron Brown in 2013.
What's the just thinking out loud here. What's the next position you have the most trouble with when you're watching high school? Because I tend to have that issue with wide receivers sometimes. I even have it from college to the NFL sometimes with wide receivers.
So does the NFL.
Well, fair. Because a lot of times it is just so physically, like if you have a guy in high school running a 4.4, he can just run by everybody. And kind of like we were talking with running backs, where it's like, well, I don't know if he can run a route. I don't know how good his hands are. I don't know.
You can't really see concepts when you watch tape, and a lot of NFL is concepts and being on the same page as your QB.
Like, is there another position? Running backs, I'm right there with you. There's been a ton of guys where I'm like, oh, that's a big home run hitter or whatever. But then you go, okay, he's breaking tackles, but why isn't he running away from guys? Like, it's a really challenging one. Is there another one that just pops up in your head and you're like, I don't know if this guy's any good or not? I can't tell.
This feels a little unfair because I think it's hard to find high school guys who are going to translate to being college safeties. But I think safety can be difficult at the high school level because what they're being asked to do or how they're being asked to play doesn't always fit with what they might be as a college defender. And sometimes you see guys that are corners in high school get moved to safeties because of hips and needing to turn and all of that. Safety is just one of those tough ones. I mean, sometimes I think some of your better safeties end up being offensive high school recruits that get flipped over to the position. There's some examples of that too. So I don't know. That's a tough position. I mean, they're all hard. If it was easy, then football wouldn't be as ridiculously difficult as it is. But safety immediately came to mind. I'm trying to think if there's another one. Wide receiver, some of the difficulty with wide receiver is that you can have a guy who has all the physical traits, but if he has a high school quarterback who can't get him the ball, like the film becomes somewhat difficult. And I think there's a fair amount of examples of guys who show up at places either as walk-ons or, lower level wide receivers that it's like, oh, wow, this guy has physical gifts. I wonder his quarterback had the arm strength of getting it 25 yards down the field, and he had to float it to get it there. Like that can make it a little bit difficult too. I mean, so much of high school film is having to determine what else is around a situation.
Yeah.
And then deciding, are they benefiting because they're just that much better? Is he being hindered because he doesn't have any actual help? That kind of thing.
Let me ask you something, Schaefer, about this whole style and substance thing. And this is on the heels of, taking pictures and being visible and which should you be working, and we need more recruits and whatever people say about Nebraska branding versus the productivity. When you look at a guy like Odem and saw how early Nebraska was in, and then the whirlwind of the next 12 months and him coming back to, hey, who was riding with me all along from a relationship standpoint, is it easy or difficult for you to parse through the images and the social media presence that you see from Nebraska versus what you really think they're about on the recruiting trail? Or do they overlap that has allowed them to be somewhat successful with getting these guys on campus?
I think it's all different things that all come together to create one big picture. It's hard for me to pretend to care really positively or negatively that they brought what I believe is a bull into the weight room and took they're just doing a thing. Like, it's not that different than Texas driving 6 Maseratis into their stadium and having recruits take pictures with them. Like, this is what happens on official visits. I'm not going to punish Nebraska for it. And I also find the dumbest comments on the internet to be, why don't you do that stuff when you win games?
Yeah.
It's
don't get me started. I had a meltdown.
It's sort of I just want to say this to the internet commenting community. The football season isn't played in June. You can't win a football game in June. So maybe just shut up and not pay attention to it. If you can't handle the fact that someone's doing something in a month that isn't August, September, October, November, where the football games are being played. There's that aspect of it too. But I think the thing that you said that stands out the most to me, and I wonder if it's a John Butler, I wonder if it's someone else in the recruiting department. They've had a really good cycle in particular, even though they only have one commitment. They had another one and he went to Florida. They have identified defensive backs that the evaluation community in the recruiting world has been like, oh, yeah, we missed that one pretty bad, didn't we? CJ Brano went from someone who no one was talking about. When I called Andrew Ivins, who I think the world of, is very good at what he does, I was like, what do you know about this kid? And he's like, well, he's in a professional golf community. Like, they don't produce football players. He's big and he's long and he runs fast, but I don't know that much about him. Like, a month later, CJ Brano is the best player at a camp in Orlando, featuring a ton of 5-star, 4-star talent. Like, he immediately it's visible what it is about him that stands out. Danny Odom, Nebraska was all about Danny Odom before really anyone knew who Danny Odom was. I mean, he had some other offers, but they got in very quickly. One of the reasons why they were able to survive this onslaught of Clemson and Auburn and Ohio State and Penn State and Oklahoma is because they built that relationship early on. And it was, hey, we believe in your talent. Other people might come in when you get to a certain level. We're here now. We think that you're this good now. there's other defensive backs like that too, some of which they were never able to get on campus but I just think like, and again, I don't know if it's a John Butler thing, but that's sort of where I want to give some of the early credit. And then Addison Williams has done a really nice job sort of providing the personable aspect to the recruitment with it. Not that Butler can't, but position coach is a big deal in that whole thing. The evaluation of defensive backs has been really good in this coaching change. So it was important to me that they were able to close one of these guys out so that the proof is there for people. Like Danny Odem wasn't a slam dunk. Everybody thought this guy was a 4-star right away. Danny Odem was Nebraska, Purdue, Louisville, Pitt, I think, in early January. And then I just ripped off all the official visits he took. It started with Clemson. Then he went to Auburn. Then he was at Oklahoma. And then he was at Ohio State. And then he was at Penn State. And then he finished at Nebraska. That's a pretty impressive group. And all of those teams would have taken that commitment. Ohio State definitely wanted him. Like anyone who tells you otherwise is just straight lying to your face.
Schaefer, let me ask you about when the cycle is going to be what it is for high school. And I think you've mapped it out pretty clear about what you think Nebraska's trying to do, right? We know the youth on the roster. If they win this year, listen, we're young. We've got good bodies. We're going to continue to develop on the way. If somehow the season doesn't go the way they want it to, you may have to hit the portal a little harder with kind of immediate help, depending on what year 4 looks like. But you still have the young guys in the fray. Are you comfortable with how selective isn't the word, but like Nebraska's philosophy in terms of how they're attacking high school recruiting, given the current roster configuration?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of factors to it. One of the things I maybe undervalued is it's going to be more difficult in the way that high school football recruiting is operating to bring in almost a whole new defensive staff the way that they did and then pick up recruiting like nothing happened. I mean, I think that is part of why things seem as slow as they have in 2026. I mean, Danny Odem's just their second commitment on the defensive side of the ball right now, joining Jace Reynolds.
Yep.
They may not get a defensive lineman in this class. It just might not work out in that way. So I don't know if comfortable is the right word, but I think they pivoted in such a way where I understand what they're doing. They weren't ever going to take a big class. They were highly focused on certain players. I think they were put in a tough situation with the lack of clarity with NIL and the House settlement. And so instead of being in a spot where they were going to have to walk some things back, Matt Rhule said very early on in the spring, hey, we are not going to overpromise and underdeliver. And that puts them in a situation where maybe they get the spatula out and they're flipping some people late in the cycle because they win some football games or they have clarity as to how they can operate their NIL.
Yeah, I could see them having to circle back.
So I think they have done a pretty good job reacting, responding, and not panicking. And I think that's the critical thing. They didn't just bring in a bunch of dudes for visits and take commitments to take commitments. Every one of the guys that they have at this point in time are people that they've wanted, with maybe one exception in terms of we'll see what happens with Bonwell Witt. I think that's sort of the one spot in this class where, we'll see what happens there. But I look at a guy like Luke Sorensen. That is a really big commitment for what Nebraska wanted. They identified 4 tight ends, and they weren't able to get Camden Jensen, who I think was their number 1 of that 4. But they were able to get a guy in Luke Sorensen, who I would maybe argue is their best commitment out of their 8 that they have right now.
He's got good tape, man. He's got really good tape.
I mean, if you like watching someone just be nasty as a tight end, I mean, that's what this guy is. He's a great blocking tight end, and he can catch the ball a little bit too.
His temperament's going to fit Satterfield and Mosey too.
Yep. He's a good personality fit. The family's a good fit. I mean, it's just it's a situation where it all lined up and made sense. And so when you can fire your shots correctly and you get guys like that, you get, those 2 offensive linemen. They're guys that they wanted, Rex Waterman and Hayden Ainsworth. They don't care that the ratings maybe don't line up. Here's something else that I haven't written about that I shouldn't probably just be saying on your show. I should have written about it first, but here we go. 3 of their last few commitments in Odem, Sorensen, and Ainsworth are all really young. They're going to be 17, 18 years old when they get to campus. They're going to have an opportunity to go through a redshirt season in which they're going to get taught the correct way to lift and to add weight to their body and to do the nutrition. And so you're kind of banking on a development system where it's like, if we can get some of these guys in young before they start to really age into what their body is, we can train this thing in the exact way that we want. I don't think that's a coincidence. I don't think that's just oh, wow, there just happens to be a few younger, like that is something that they're looking for. That's part of the data set. And they're just, again, it's not going to be a class where you're excited about what the recruiting ranking necessarily looks like. But I do think they're going to have a high percentage of contributors because they're being very smart about who they're taking and what they want in this class. And they know that they don't have to just take people to take them. I think that's such an important part of this.
Yeah. Do you, Schaefer, I know we're keeping you along here a little bit, but I remember when Evan Cooper and that whole thing happened where he was no longer with the coaching staff, that a lot of people talked about, especially in the defensive back room, and we brought up Odem and Brana as really, really good evaluation wins, even if only one of them ends up on campus here. But are you kind of impressed that the evaluation Denver took a hit when it was sort of seen like Cooper was that ace in the hole in the evaluation part of the equation for Nebraska?
Yeah, I don't know who gets the credit for it, because I think there's a handful of people that Matt Rhule is now turning to, because Evan Cooper was his guy. Like,
so that narrative was accurate, right? Like that's what was
100%.
I mean, that was it. And it wasn't just defensive backs. Like Evan Cooper was watching the offensive linemen and giving his feedback, and Matt Rhule would take that. And so now you've got sort of this, you have 3 defensive coordinators on staff, and Addison Williams and John Butler and Phil Snow. Phil Snow is watching film and giving his feedback on defensive backs. You don't, like, that clearly matters to Matt Rhule. So I think that they have, I think they've done a nice job of replacing what it was that I think Evan Cooper really brought to the table. But I think it's more of a committee approach perhaps than what it was before, where Cooper was really involved. Like there was, Bryce Turner was him. Carlin Jones, who didn't end up at Nebraska, was because of Bryce Turner and Evan Cooper, and Evan putting on the film and being like, oh yeah, we want this guy. And now he's going to be a pretty good college defensive lineman elsewhere in the country. So to replace that, I think wasn't going to be easy, but I do think he's leaning on some veteran coaches and just their thought process. And then Matt Rhule has his own eye for talent. Like we kind of undervalue him in terms of being a football coach sometimes. And the guy has been around the game forever, and he has seen so many people. And I think, we want to provide all of this credit or give him credit for how he builds up these other coaches, but we don't always give him credit for sort of being this source of knowledge and evaluation and talent and all of that too.
Yeah, Shape, that is so true. Like sometimes he'll give me a hard time. We'll go back and forth on a play or something, and he's like, "Well, I know how you hate the measurables, and I need this and I need to see that." And sometimes I just look at him and I laugh. And he goes, "But let's understand. I know what I'm looking for. Clearly, it's just like."
I think he feels that way. Like legitimately,
he
doesn't feel like he gets credit.
Hearing you say that out loud is so true. Like, I think if he could not care about how it would be received, he would say, "You know what? I know a good player when I see one. Are we cool?" Well, I just think he would say something like that.
It was a different context, but he said it out loud. He goes, "Hey, I was a pretty good football coach before I became a head coach." Like, that's a thing he said in a press conference.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think there's a stigma attached to some head coaches in college football where it's like they just kind of operate up here and everything else happens below, and then their job is on Saturdays. Matt Rhule's job is literally every minute of every day, and that's how he wants it. That's who he is.
Pretty much.
And the thing is, if you aren't operating in that same plane, probably not going to spend a lot of time with him.
Oh, that 2 minutes is priceless.
Oh man, I don't know if we can top that.
Pretty good, Mike J. Pretty good.
We may have to call it a day with you, Shape. I do want to get to that next week. I'm going to hold on to the article that you sent us.
I know.
Because I do want to get to that.
We studied.
I know, but we will get to that next week because it's summer. We got some time. But I do.
We got time.
I
We
just
talked
that
sports
was
chicken
that was
thighs.
a fantastic idea too, because I skimmed through that originally.
Yeah.
I that's good stuff. That's a tease for next week.
All right, we'll save it for next week. Thanks, guys.
Dave,
buddy.
appreciate it as always. We'll talk to you next week. That's our guy, Mike J. Schaefer, Husker 24/7.
He does think he's pretty good at that evaluating thing.
Well, I mean, I would tend to agree, right?
You know,
like
you watch a few combines, you go to a few places when you're at Temple and Baylor, and you're finding talent.
where you have to, right? You don't have a choice.
Man, who else saw Hassan Reddick?
Not a soul. Like literally no one else.
So I'll ride with that guy.
You know, you run around like Brad Pitt in Troy and say, "Is there no one else?" Yeah, that was the case with Hassan Reddick.
It's one of the worst casting jobs ever.
You didn't like Troy as Achilles, or you didn't like Brad Pitt as Achilles?
No.
Who'd you want?
Nothing about Brad Pitt oozes Achilles.
There's a bad NBA joke there here in a second, but we're gonna leave that as it is.
You're in the least surprising news ever that Halliburton says I'd do it all over again.
Of course he would.
The least surprising.
That's who he is. That's part of the reason I love him.
Again, almost 100% of players would.
Yeah. Listen, it's NBA Finals. Like you flip the coin, you take your chance.
Yeah.
It's a game 7. Like you're gonna.
Are you interested at all in the two different philosophies on when to get to surgery?
I am. I'm also really interested in the Nico Harrison, Luka Doncic calf strain thing now too.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot there. And firing all the trainers that told him not to play.
Yeah. Man, Luka may have known what he's talking about.
Yeah. That Nico guy might suck.
And I'll be because Tatum is 5 weeks ahead of Halliburton.
Yes. And he had the surgery immediately. Like hours.
Yeah, which his team advised him that the quicker you get in on an Achilles,
the faster the recovery is.
It was unbelievable that he had gone under the knife by the time we'd had the show the next morning.
I think it was under 12 hours.
Yeah.
Like it was crazy.
Yeah, I was like, I've never heard of that.
I hadn't either. So I misunderstood the time frame when we originally talked about it. I thought it was closer to 24.
Yeah,
36.
I was blown away.
It was actually
I joked about like using his own team of doctors. Did they fly him in? And you go, well, they do share hospital facilities. It's not exclusive. And I was like, okay, smart ass. I'm just saying, like, it was fast.
It was much faster than I realized in the moment. I think it was like 12 hours, which
not
is crazy.
To go all Steven on you, but it was very
well, actually,
it was very Ravi-esque in the delivery.
Well, actually, do you know, you got some extra funds that can be locked away for a little bit. Central Federal Credit Union's got you covered. Earn dividends on those funds as well. They have something called a certificate and savings account bundle that can help you earn dividends in 2 places, a certificate and a savings account. Just open a 6-month or greater certificate and open a savings account to receive their special savings account bundle rate. Learn more about this at centrusfcu.org, federally insured by NCUA. Terms and conditions do apply. We'll be back to wrap up the show coming up next year on Hurrdat Sports Live.
We're in the neighborhood, just down the street. With a wide variety of home equity products to help you create a relaxing oasis. So you can kick back and relax in comfort. Centrus Federal Credit Union. We are where you are.
Here with Jet Tamala, the newest Alabama commit. That sounds a little different, right?
Yeah, yes sir, it does.
Why Alabama?
I just felt the trust and support from their coaching staff, even while I was committed to Iowa State. I have all good things to say about them too, with everything I went through with them. And it really came down to the wire. And then, just the opportunity I had. My goal and dream is to go to the NFL, and I felt like Alabama's the place that could do the best for me.
You brought up the Iowa State thing. Obviously, it was a tough decision because of the connection that you had made with Iowa State. And you're a pretty loyal guy when it comes to just everything in life. So, how hard was that conversation?
We had such a good relationship that I mean, it wasn't too hard. They kind of understood. It wasn't no hard feelings. So kind of just told me good luck, and it really wasn't easy like to say it all. It was pretty tough for me, but I got through it, and really excited about.
Okay, here with Colin Rice from Waukee Northwest. Colin, your recruitment's kind of taken off a little bit, right? You've officially visited Iowa, officially visited Nebraska. Northwestern's coming up for you. I want to touch on just Iowa first. That was the first one for you. Your relationship with that staff. Coach McCollum's new there, obviously.
Yeah, I think Iowa has always been a spot, being from Iowa, that like I wanted to go visit just because it's like we're from Iowa and everything. And then I obviously know McCollum's. I played with McCollum's two sons last year. So I've known them for probably a year and a half now, and they've always been good to me. So.
And then Nebraska, the visit there obviously went well. What'd you like the most? All those things.
Yeah, the Nebraska visit was great. The people there are really awesome. I love Fred. I love Nate. I've known them for a while now. I think this tournament was probably the 1 year anniversary of them talking to me, starting to talk to me, which is pretty cool to think about when you think back to all of it. A full circle moment. Now I'm on an official visit saying, oh, hey, I might go here. It's really cool.
You're listening to Hurrdat Sports Live.
Welcome back, Hurrdat Sports Live, presented by Centris Federal Credit Union. That's DB. I'm Ravi. Lulla here at Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill. Can I ask an etiquette question for you?
Etiquette
question?
Yes, you may.
Okay, so if you're going to the bathroom, and there's
this is kind of in my wheelhouse. I like stuff like this.
There's someone in there cleaning.
Oh, that's my dude. You talking about cereal?
Yeah, and it's a person of the gendered bathroom that you're in. Not to get all political on you or whatever. Yeah. But like, so it's not awkward.
Yeah.
Right?
That's my guy.
Is it okay to go ahead and still use the bathroom even though they're working in there?
I do.
Okay.
He's always in there.
Because sometimes, not the guy now, but sometimes when I do that, they kind of look at you funny, like, "Hey, wait."
Was he playing his music? Was he have his phone out?
No, he didn't. I think he was about to, but he didn't because I walked in.
He sets the phone on the counter. He
play your music, my guy. I don't care.
He does his thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. But most of the time, so I would say 85% of the time, I'm usually only going to wash my hands or to get a paper towel if I've either laughed too hard or I don't know, something.
Need to wipe off the last segment.
I only pee like 15% of the time.
Yeah.
But it's fine. He's really nice. I think he has a twin.
Does he?
There's somebody here that looks just like him.
Is there?
Oh, yeah.
So that's okay, though, like to just go ahead and continue to use the bathroom?
Yeah.
Okay. Because sometimes
I would wait.
You would wait?
Yeah, because I'd be that guy going like, man, I just cleaned that 15 seconds ago.
I could see
Because sometimes
that,
I feel like
but you said he was. Well, he did preface it by saying he's getting started.
Oh, I don't know. I don't know what in the process where he was. I don't know.
Oh,
if I
you
said
made it
getting,
seem like
if I said getting started, that was.
Was he actually cleaning it?
He was standing
You
there.
said he was standing there.
I couldn't tell if he was about to start cleaning or if he had just finished.
Oh,
Like every day you come in here and I just cleaned that, and 10 seconds later,
that sounds like
you
something
messed
my
up.
mom would say.
Here's the thing, though. Like if you're cleaning a toilet,
Like you sit down to eat. I just wiped the table.
if you're
It's like,
cleaning a toilet,
well, when's a good time?
right? So that's what I was going to ask. It doesn't matter if it's 10 seconds, 10 minutes, or an hour later that somebody pees in that toilet. Like there is going to be urine in that toilet sooner rather than later.
Well,
Does it matter?
I don't know, man. I got to be honest. I'm like, I've wiped down like our glass back door, and the dogs will want to go out, and I'll see Zoe go over to the door to let them out, and I'm terrified.
Well, Sauter talked about this with the lawn, right? Like right after he mows it, he doesn't like people to step on it.
Yeah. Well, that's any time.
Well, okay, but so there is. I do think there's like a time thing with it too. Like I just finished that; it looks nice.
I don't know. That's interesting.
But I don't think we're cleaning toilets for like aesthetics either.
Yeah.
So I feel like that also matters.
We are going to get my new partner, Mr. Crooks, tomorrow.
9:00, Kyle Crooks.
Yeah, we're gonna try to get him before
Play-by-play voice of Nebraska football.
I imagine he's got to go the Sam McEwen's.
He's probably got to do the circuit.
the Mitch Shermans.
Yeah. Probably has to do the
of the world,
the car wash.
Yeah, I get him out of the way.
Well, I'm so excited about it.
Oh, I'm happy. He's moving this weekend. Listen,
is he moving this weekend?
Yeah,
yeah.
Hey, ask him. Like I called Casey before the interview.
Yeah,
yeah. I said, hey man, I don't know you from poop, but whoever you are, just be that guy. He's like, you're weird. I was like, I know. Do you think I'm joking?
No, I believe 100% that you did that.
I did. I'm telling you, this dude's preparation.
That is impressive that he like knew the segment names
Ask
and like
Jessica.
had them right. And
We were like,
if he would have read,
and she pre-screened the pre-screen.
Really?
Yes. Like she was in from the jump. I didn't get involved until down the stretch.
Yeah.
Until it was like nut cutting time, right? So, and she said it in passing, and then when I actually saw it on full display, she's like, DB, he knows everything. And I was just like, oh, like, okay. Nope. He's listened to our shows.
Yeah.
He talks about the rapport and the delivery cadence. Okay.
Like our show?
Yes.
That's funny.
Yes.
So he's like going deep.
Listen.
All right. I like it.
He knows. He was terrified of Ben McLaughlin.
Really?
Yes.
Because
he just pays attention to what we say.
Which is kind of funny because Ben is, I don't know Ben super well, but he's sort of an unassuming looking guy.
He is. He's super cool.
Yeah.
But he's the hammer.
Which is funny.
He is unquestionably the hammer.
If I only had the experiences we have with him, I would never guess that. I'd guess he's kind of particular.
Mm-hmm.
And I would guess that he has an opportunity to be sort of snarky about if somebody doesn't do things the right way.
You heard his answer about grabbing me North Carolina gear.
Yeah.
Okay, that's him.
But that's to me like I rise for the brand. I get that.
No, that's him. He is Prince. I'm telling you.
By the way, Jake's gonna look out for you.
So I said, B Mac, please. This is my exact delivery. Please don't change the old format for Huddle. You guys have all these new variations, these adaptations.
Oh, yeah, you told me this.
I need Huddle Classic. And he goes, well, I understand that.
Sooner or later, it's going to change.
You have a little bit more time. Most of our new products aren't going to be on Huddle Classic. Like, that was the delivery.
Well, bud.
Hey, well,
better figure it out.
And once he said, well, like I knew something was.
He was about to shank you.
Yes. Yes. I'm just.
Well,
it was.
I'm 48 years old.
Even when he's not supposed to be funny, it was a super stressful flight.
Yeah.
and we were moving fast, and the room situation was all sorts of screwed up. And I go, hey, I said, B, I said, you want to grab a quick drink or chill? And he looked at me and he goes, me? Yeah. I was in tears. I almost dropped my luggage. I was in tears. Like, that shouldn't be funny.
It is, though. It's very funny.
I think so.
But
Yeah.
it's just what you see is, and he's an equal opportunity offender. So it's kind of funny.
I feel like Ben and I are very similar.
Yeah.
I feel like we've got some commonalities.
The snark. Well, you know, like, that's typically frowned upon. Yeah, Ravi, I know. I'm just telling you what happened. Like, I understand.
I'm just trying to help.
No, you guys are what I call pushers.
What does that mean?
Well, guys that kind of toe the line.
Oh, yeah.
You are like
push them right over.
Yeah.
See ya.
Yeah.
It's borderline irresponsible to put a microphone in front of my face.
I'm telling you.
So we'll talk to Kyle Crooks tomorrow. We'll get a first listen to first chat with the new play-by-play voice for Nebraska football. That'll be fun.
It's exciting. He can tell you about he'll tell you about why he is
It's exciting.
I kind of grew up. He has some weird fandoms.
Yeah.
And so
I
he
can appreciate that for sure.
Well, he and I were just shooting the breeze.
Yeah.
Right, cuz I want to be able to have fun.
Yeah, you want to be able to like have a rapport with
So
him.
so I'm looking for different angles because
Yeah.
the more it's the profiler in me, right?
Mhm.
And Ben's like, we're on a little bit of a time crunch, man. I got some things that I want to ask. I don't want to hear about the Indianapolis Colts and Edgerrin James. I looked at Jess. Jess put her head down. I said, "Oh shoot, we're not gonna get this guy."
I feel like that would make Jess a little uncomfortable.
Yeah,
Does she get a little squeamish when he does
she's
that?
the human olive branch. She's never met a stranger. She's gonna make it okay.
I feel like that's how you feel sometimes when I get mad at Shane, and you're just like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa!"
Yeah, like this
easy."
morning, I was like, "That's not his." Yeah, I want peace. Okay.
Well, that one was my fault. I pushed the wrong button.
I was gonna say I would wait a proper amount of time. I wasn't gonna.
Well, okay, now to my defense though, sometimes you guys are talking during break, and I have to wait to turn the mics on, and I don't know, like you were during the break that you were just at.
I can't appreciate that.
You say some stuff.
I don't think that was the case on that particular one, Shane. That's all.
Well, like I said, it was my fault.
That's
I
all right.
apologize.
Yeah, that's all right. I appreciate the accountability, Shane. Thank you.
Yeah, we're just. Yeah.
leader.
It's
Oh,
just
QB asked a good question. Did you guys do some like mock play-by-play?
So I don't really want to get into how the sausage was made.
All right.
But let's just say the level of like the familiarity is there.
Okay. That's
because
fair.
I don't want to, you know what I mean? I already had to ask Ben, is it cool?
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't want to be that guy.
You don't want to let too much out.
No, but that's
fair.
Because it's like Lance was talking about earlier. It's a weird hire because it's a weird position to hire for, I should say.
Yeah.
Right? Because
it's not like a normal job.
No.
Right? Like it's not.
And you can hear.
I mean,
right?
kind of like these.
And if it was just about a voice, it would be easy.
Yeah.
And it was a group interview too.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's totally different.
I mean,
right
multiple group interviews, right?
And our athletic director went first.
Yeah.
After the pre-screening of the pre-screening.
After the Jessica Cootie.
I mean, there
pre-screening.
was a lot.
I do some of these jobs, the on-air jobs, whether it's play-by-play or kind of what we do or whatever, like they are awkward to try and find people for sometimes because like a resume doesn't tell you that much. Except for, hey, someone else has thought they don't suck at this before, so that's helpful to know.
Yeah.
But outside of that, especially if it's not a solo gig, that you're sort of just trying to figure it out on the fly. Like it's a weird
the first thing you try to get a feel for. And I'm spoiled. Right? I mean, the first person that I ever worked with on a broadcast of significance was Kugler.
Yeah. who he takes really good care of his broadcast partners.
Yeah,
to this day.
Yeah, the leading assist guy in the NBA.
He's like prime Jason Kidd out there, just like dish
I
it.
would go like Stockton because he could play with anybody.
Okay.
Anybody. I think even Magic needed a certain level of talent.
Yeah.
Kugler does not. He just, he could set it up. He was cool. So, and then I was fortunate because the other guy that I worked probably the most with would be Putney, and he knows me so well.
Yeah.
So it's all about the chemistry.
Like a built-in chemistry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's cool.
No, it's Kugler's I mean, you can hear it to this day when he's working with young people, like young broadcasters or guys that are early in their in their
and he has
career.
such range.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, Bardo's not like Elmore, and Elmore's not like James Lofton, and
different than Robbie Hummel.
He's not Hummel, and I mean, you just heard him this weekend for the CWS.
Yep.
Like, these guys are different.
And I will say, not to just like.
I mean, that's got to be the first time he's worked with Hammer for the CWS broadcast.
I think so, yeah.
Isn't it?
I think so.
You would have never known.
I will say and you can tell a difference when those same guys are with different people. Like that's how you know it's about it. That not to just like.
So that's why the number one thing that I was looking for is.
Yeah.
Could we get along?
Yeah.
I mean, because we're all weird.
Everybody in this industry is weird.
Yeah.
That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla. We will be back tomorrow. Get halfway through your week here with Hurrdat Sports Live.
See you. Have a good day. Love you.